All right, are we good? Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We are back for the Women's FA Cup final. It's Brighton taking on Manchester City at Wembley Stadium. Brighton in their first ever final looking to win the Women's FA Cup for the first time. Man City looking to complete a historic double for the first time in their history. Whatever happens today, Harry, we are writing pages of history for one of these two clubs, and it should be a fantastic final.
Yeah, exactly that. It is set up perfectly for both these two teams to go and do something special, for both these sets of players to go and do something that no one wearing their shirt has gone on to do before. So it's going to be a very, very special day. We've seen everything and more happen across the FA Cup this season, and I think it's all going to come together very nicely today in what should be a fantastic FA Cup final.
Indeed. Well, let's start then by talking about Brighton. Their run to the final and their season as a whole. Under Dario Vidosic, 2 years now, they started so quickly in his first season, tailing off a little bit. And I think many thought this campaign would be a bit of a slower one. But actually, they've maintained consistency and had an incredible run in this competition to reach the final.
Yeah, they've done brilliantly. I think that, as you say, after the back end of last season, they looked to be in a bit of trouble, but they dug in deep. And the fact that they've managed to deliver another brilliant season and to get to the FA Cup final is a fantastic achievement for Dario Vidosic and his side. I think their season as a whole has been action-packed and incredible. You know, for drama all the way through, and especially in the FA Cup. Looking at the game against Arsenal, looking at the semi-final, they've had some incredible moments already in this competition, and they would love to make one more special day if they can get it across the line today. But it's been a fantastic season. Full credit to Vidosic and the side for getting there. They've earned the right to grace the Wembley pitch, and it's just about now whether they can make it count and take their chances.
Yeah, an incredibly difficult run for Brighton throughout the FA Cup. They played WSL2 opposition Nottingham Forest in the fourth round. Since then, though, they've played WSL teams at every step of the way. And as you say, that big result against Arsenal, completely outplaying the Gunners, and that then left them getting through to the semi-finals, beating Liverpool in dramatic fashion, it should be said. Last-minute winner from Nadine Nordam, and now into the final. Man City, by contrast, quite an easy run, I think it has to be said. Didn't play any WSL opposition until the semi-final stage, which was then a fantastic game of football against Chelsea. What an incredible turnaround. Chelsea, for 85 minutes, looked set to win that game, with much the stronger side, but City with a dramatic turnaround.
Yeah, again, another incredibly dramatic run for City. You know, not as difficult as Brighton's, but still the action living up to it. And yeah, to think that they were 3 minutes away from being knocked out, and now they're here today at Wembley with a chance to do the double for the first time. And that's just how incredible football is. At the end of the day, they look to be down and out, but they found something from absolutely nowhere. It's why they're the WSL champions, and it's why they're in this final today. And they've got this great opportunity to win their fourth FA Cup. So yeah, it was a dramatic semi-final, pretty comfortable before that though. But again, this is the game that counts now. If they can find something similar to the performance that came past Chelsea, or at least towards the end of the game, that it's going to be a big ask. That's what they need to do. They've done the hard part. You knocked out the reigning champions. That's step one to going on to win a competition. It's all about getting through the next 90 minutes. And if they play like they have for the majority of this season, they're very likely to be very successful.
Indeed. Well, let's get into the teams to contest the 2026 Women's FA Cup final. And we'll start with the designated home side, which is Brighton. In goal, Chiamaka Enadozie joined Brighton at the start of this season, has been a revelation in goal. I think most people would say the best goalkeeper in the WSL this year. In the back four, Charlize Rule alongside Hayes, Minami and Venegas. Across the midfield four, Seike, one wing, Olaslaga's the other, and a midfield partnership of Maisie Simmons and Helena Kankovic. And then a front pair, one with a lot of experience in this competition, one who's had a great run this season, Madison Haley and Fran Kirby. When we're talking about difference makers then for Brighton today, I think it's easy usually to look at attacking players, and we will do that. But it's going to come down a lot to their defensive players, and particularly their goalkeeper, Chiamaka Enadozie.
Yeah, as you say, Enadozie's had a phenomenal season for Brighton in the WSL, and she will be a massive part of getting the, if they are to go on to win today, I think that it just take the semi-final, for example, produce some brilliant saves to keep Brighton in the game, to keep Brighton in with a shout, and obviously they went on to turn it around, and she's going to have that kind of influence today. If Brighton are to get anything from the game, they're going to need Enadozie to step up and make saves. Manchester City will get chances today, that because of their quality, so they're going to need Enadozie to have another good game, and if she does that, then Brighton have got a great chance of doing something special today. But defensively, they've looked pretty strong all year. They've had a couple of wobbles, but on the whole, they've managed to shut out the best attacks in the league. So if they can do that, the back four remain consistent, Enadozie deliver another top draw performance, then who knows what could happen. We could see a very special result.
And as for Fran Kirby, undoubtedly going to be Brighton's most important attacker in this game. 4 Women's FA Cup titles to her name. She's looking to make it 5 today. An incredible record in this competition, and yeah, one of the most decorated players, if not the most decorated player, I believe, on the pitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's, again, an incredible statistic there for Kirby. And the thing about those FA Cup wins is that she has been influential in all of those finals. This is a stage, this is an occasion that Fran Kirby thrives in. And Brighton, with that experience, it's a massive helping hand. Kirby is the kind of player that can make the difference in this final. She's done it time and time again for Chelsea. She's been here and done it. And that kind of knowledge and that composure on the biggest stage is priceless when it comes to an FA Cup final. So if Brighton, again, very similar to what I said about Enadozie, if Brighton are to get anything today, expect Fran Kirby to be involved, because she knows exactly what it takes to go on and win this competition.
Absolutely. And for the City side then, 4-3-3 for Manchester City today. In goal, Ayaka Yamashita. At back four then, full strength of Casbright, Rose, Kanak and Greenwood. In the midfield pivot, it's Blinkhilde Brown alongside Yui Hasagawa, with Grace Clinton starting in the 10. On one wing, Carolyn. On the other, Lauren Hemp. And leading the line, Khadija Shaw. And let's start then in defence, Harry, because we had some doubts over the fitness of Ayaka Yamashita and over the fitness of Rebecca Kanak, but both fit to start this game. How important is that for Manchester City?
Absolutely massive. I think that, both of them, well, especially Kanak, has been a big part of City's incredible campaign. I think that for me, she's the main one coming back. Of course, picked up that shoulder injury in the game against Liverpool, where she still managed to score a last-minute winner despite being injured. But that's a massive part of their back line. Kanak has been incredible in the air, but in both boxes. And that is a key component of today's game, is that City have now got their aerial threat back from corners, and they've also got someone that can make sure that they defend them, because Brighton are also a very strong aerial team. So Kanak is a massive boost. And I think having Yamashita, it's more familiarity. I think she's better on the big stage than Keating. And although shot stopping is a little bit closer, I think on the ball, that composure and that calmness and the accuracy from Yamashita is going to be is going to be stronger than it would have been if Keating had to start. So 2 massive boosts to the Man City side that both Yamashita and Kanak are fit.
Yeah, in midfield then, the big call, Grace Clinton starting this game. This isn't something I saw Andre Jeglerts doing. I thought it was nailed on that we'd see Viviana Miedema. But for anyone who watched my preview on Friday, I highlighted how Brighton are very much able to overload midfield areas and gain advantages because of that. With Grace Clinton in there, you will think that City midfielder is going to be more of a 3 today. And while that won't give them as much of an ability to go long and find either Miedema or Shaw, and for those two to combine, it should give them another option in midfield, which makes it easier to play out. Karen then on the right wing is someone who's going to tuck inside and get close to Shaw to give her someone to play off, and Kasparov then able to create the width. So I think Jeglerts there is solving issues that we saw Manchester City have in the game against Brighton 5 weeks ago when they lost that match 3-2. So I think he was aware of what went wrong in that game and looks to be trying to remedy that. So that's really important for Man City, and Jeglerts showing that adaptability. That could win them this final. Because if they didn't get that on lock, there's a chance Brighton then find a way through and they make something happen, and that City can't play out against Brighton. Adding another player to midfield, particularly someone like Grace Clinton, who's a really good ball carrier and a really good progressor, therefore, of the football, I think it's going to be really important for Manchester City today. I think Grace Clinton could be one of the most important players in this final for City. We are 5 minutes away from kickoff, so let's turn to the live chat. Thanks everyone that is getting involved. If you want to get involved more though, get involved with your scoreline predictions. We'll get into ours in just a moment. Hermie saying a disappointingly empty Wembley. It is somewhat disappointing. Obviously, a sellout in last year's final, but equally, Chelsea, Man United, both massive fan bases and sides who their men's teams haven't been massively successful in recent years. I think it's fair to say. So they've got that added bonus that people are going to travel there. Both obviously have a huge amount of support in London as well. So that's why we saw that 90,000. I'm not going to hit on either of these two fan bases. City fans have travelled to Wembley a lot this season with the men's team. And I think it's still a decent support for the ladies' side. And Brighton are not a side who've had loads of success in. They don't have a massive fan base anyway across their men's and women's team, and haven't had loads of success with the women's team. So it's not a terrible attendance, but it's disappointing to see it not be quite as high as we've seen in previous years.
Yeah, exactly that. Of course, yeah, we want to see sellouts every single year, but as you say, these are two fan bases that they've done very well to get there, and it is still really strong to see them turning out incredibly impressed as well with Brighton's tifo. Again, things like that add it's an extra touch, and that is very, very good to see. And I think that for Brighton scene, both sides have travelled well, and I still think it will create a very good atmosphere. It's an FA Cup final. The people there are going to make it loud. They want to get behind their sides, and I think that it's going to be that can make the difference. It can give you that edge, and both fan bases want to get behind their sides today and try and make that extra difference. And it is still it's still a pretty good attendance. Of course, we'd like to see more.
Well, Kevin's saying 50,000, which against the backdrop of 90,000 last year looks low, but it's still a fantastic attendance and great to see so many people getting behind Brighton and Manchester City today. And let's get into our predictions then. A couple of people getting involved in the live chat. Keep those coming in ahead of kickoff, but we're going to start here in the studio, and we'll start with yourself, Harry. Brighton versus Manchester City. Who will be the 2026 Women's FA Cup champions?
So I think it'll be a great game. I think it's going to be a really good battle between two quality sides and two very incredible managers and very exciting managers. So I don't expect City to blow Brighton out of the water. However, I just think that they've got the quality today and the experience to see Brighton off. So I'm going to say Manchester City 3, Brighton 1. I think that Jon Grete and his side will take the FA Cup crown. I think they've just got more experience in that side, and that makes the difference. The nerves amongst that Brighton camp will be settling in for the majority of that starting 11. For Man City, though, they've got players that have been here and done it before. There's only 3 or 4 that were here that have already been and were part of the winning squad a few years back for City when they won the FA Cup. But across the board, they've got players that have been in finals and have been on this stage. So I think that will make the difference. So I will say Manchester City 3, Brighton 1, but I do think that it will be a very, very incredible contest.
Yeah, indeed. I said in my prediction it'll be a close game. I think City will edge it. And I think the change bringing Clinton into midfield does make a big difference for Manchester City. But I'm going to ignore the rational part of my brain. I'm going to back an upset. Wow. I'm going to say Brighton to win the Women's FA Cup. Why not? They've got Frank Kirby. They've got difference makers on the pitch. They've got a manager in Dario Vidicic who is flexible enough and adaptable enough and experienced enough to make the difference in this final. I think it's going to be a great game. I think these two sides are much closer than a lot of people expect, and I think Brighton will give City a fantastic game. So I'm going to say 2-1 Brighton after extra time. 1-1 in normal time. 2-1 Brighton win it in extra time. I think it's going to be a great final either way, though. Predictions coming into the live chat then. Locust saying 2-1 Brighton. Jeremy saying 3-1 to Man City. GT saying 4-1 Man City. Slightly biased prediction there from GT. But fair enough, absolutely could be the score today. I think that's the nature of this game, that City are so strong that they could dominate this final, but equally, Brighton are a side who can really cause the big teams upsets.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that Brighton have got the proof across the WSL season that they can take the game and beat the top side. They've beaten Manchester City. They've beaten and drawn to Arsenal. They've got points off United. And I think that they've got that quality. The difference is today, this is an FA Cup final. This is at Wembley, and that's very different to beating them in a WSL match week at the Broadfield Stadium. This is a different occasion, and that will settle it. That will some players at Brighton will be able to manage that and handle it completely. The players that have been here before, but I think there'll be a couple where early jitters, especially in the opening minutes, could just make the way. And they've got to make sure that they don't do what Tottenham did. Tottenham got here a couple years ago and conceded early doors to Manchester United, and because they just didn't settle in the game, and United's experience took over, and because of that early goal, United never looked back. Brighton have got to settle early, get themselves into the game, and try and win that midfield battle again. That's going to be incredible to watch. The midfield battle today is going to be absolutely brilliant. You've got Simmons, who, despite her age, is a brilliant captain and incredibly composed player. You've got Kankovic, who's been here before, and been in the FA Cup final, as a Chelsea player. But then you've got Man City, who have got Yui Hasegawa, who's one of the best midfielders in the world right now, and Blinkilder-Brown, who again is an incredible talent. It's going to be a brilliant battle, but I think it could be decided in the middle of the park. But for me, Brighton, who've got to settle early doors, if not City, have got the quality to really run away with this.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the experience there, but equally, Brighton's team has more combined FA Cup wins than Man City's team. And admittedly, by basic maths there, I might be missing someone, but I just tried to count it up quickly. But I believe Frank Kirby's 4 outweighs the 2 that Lauren Hemper's won and the 1 that Alex Greenwood has won. And how much does that experience play into it? You never know. But it is going to be Man City to get us underway in this final. Kevin going 3-1 City, and Jennifer saying 2-1 City as well. And Shell, welcome to the stream, saying probably City win, but would like to see Brighton win for a change. Well, either way, it is going to be a side who haven't won the competition for a good few years. City could complete the double today. Brighton in their first ever final, hoping to win the Women's FA Cup. City get us underway for 90 minutes of action here at Wembley Stadium. Rebecca Kanak going forwards early on here, looking to find Carolyn in behind, but headed away by Venegas. And now Clinton in possession. Here is Blinkilder. Hemp tries to play it around the corner, cut up well by Brighton. I'm hoping we won't get the whole game from one camera. We won't, as Venegas is dragged down there by Kirsten Kasparai.
Yeah, positive intent already from Manuela Venegas, looking to get the ball down, drive forward, as she has done so successfully for Brighton this season. But yeah, if they can get on the ball, just get a foot on the ball and look to settle into this game, then they're going to have a really good chance of making things very difficult for Man City today.
Here's Kankovic dropping in to receive. Finds Haley now, dropping deep with the ball and tries to play the pass around the corner into Charlize Rule. Not able, though, to pick out her teammate, and City back in possession. So Rule there inverting into midfield. And this is where we see that flexibility for Brighton. There's so many different players who can come inside or who can push out wide. So much flexibility, and it's on City to have to adapt to those different moments very quickly. Yamashita in possession. Into Blinkilder-Brown, who's immediately under pressure from Helena Kankovic. Now Kanak. Greenwood into Hasegawa. And a lovely pass around the corner into Clinton. This is where Grace Clinton will come in handy. Finds Blinkilder-Brown, and now to Carolyn. Venegas, though, jumping up quickly. And Hayes trying to hold on to the ball in there, but it's won back again by City. Now with Clinton. Back to Blinkilder-Brown. Venegas, the most advanced player here for Brighton in the press. I mean, that is incredible to see at Wembley Stadium. They are playing the way they've played all season. They're not changing things just because it's the final. And I think that's incredible to see.
Yeah, I think it shows their confidence that they can come here and compete with the best side in England this season. But also, I like the fact they're going with familiarity. We see some sides can change it up and try and go defensive, and it just doesn't work because that's not their system. So I like the boldness of Vidicic, but also the confidence in his players to turn up here today and play their football.
Yeah, outnumbering at the moment Man City in midfield, despite Grace Clinton being in there and being a lot deeper than Viviana Miedemar would be. Pass around the corner from Seike into Rule, who's inverted into midfield. Now back to Hayes. Does look to be a bit of a deeper role then for Kiko Seike in possession today. Often looks to play a bit higher, and Rule looks to hold the width. But it does look like Rule is going to be given that license to invert. And I think that is all about trying to create overloads in midfield. Ola Slagas now carrying the ball inside. Here is Simmons. Space to the right-hand side for Brighton now. Kirby knocks it down the line, and Seike can't quite keep that under her control. And that's where it's got to be a bit tighter, because that's a great move from Brighton, progressing through the passages there, but can't quite find Seike.
Yeah, I think Seike's got to do a little bit better there. Just doesn't seem to adjust her body in time to receive the ball, but Man City can't allow Fran Kirby to kind of float into open space there and have the opportunity to look up and get the pass away.
Lenton losing out high up the pitch, but Kanak taking no risks and launching the ball away. Manami cushioning a header back to Enadozie, and Brighton can play out. And Kevin asks, what are the black lines on the pitch? It's the absolute disgrace that Wembley Stadium was allowed to be used for rugby yesterday, which I cannot believe they allowed before a Women's FA Cup final. It would never be allowed before the Men's FA Cup final, but there you go. Rule into Hayes. Goes down the line into Seike. And back to Hayes. Forced all the way back into Enadozie. Now Kankovic. Kankovic lifting it forwards. Haley bringing it down well. Now Simmons. And Shaw on her back as Simmons is dragged down, but kept alive here by Rule. Rule plays it wide. Seike holding onto the ball well. Back to Charlie's Rule. Brighton certainly not timid in the opening stages here. Rule through the lines, looking for the run of Kiko. Seike, who may well get there. Seike looks for the cutback. He's going to fall to Kirby in the box. Shot charged down by Jade Rose. Brighton with the best chance so far in the opening few minutes. Here's Seike. Still going, tries to find the cross into the box. And it's miscued there by Kiko Seike. But a great chance for Fran Kirby in a very similar position to what we saw in the game between the two sides earlier in the season. Or only a few weeks ago, really. Seike getting down the right-hand side. Kirby was in this same sort of position. This time a block from Jade Rose, though, denying her.
Yeah, important block, but a brilliant start from Brighton to this FA Cup final. I was worried about the nerves and them not settling into the game, but they've settled down all right and they've looked the stronger side in the opening 5. And yeah, getting the first shot away of the game is a very positive stat for Vilicic and his team.
Here is Maisie Simmons into Olaslagers now, and Kasparai committing the foul there as Olaslagers used her body really well to take the ball positively.
Yeah, City haven't got a foot on the ball in the early stages. And that is very encouraging for Brighton.
Yeah, it's been brilliant from Brighton. And again, they're so good on the ball, but equally good without it. Olaslagers clipping the ball towards the back post. Yamashita, though, plucking it out of the air without issue. But yeah, so good on the ball, but equally that intensity when they don't have possession, the way the centre-halves are jumping up to go and put pressure in midfield and causing issues really for City trying to build out has been excellent so far. The question will be how sustainable that is. And I think Brighton, if they're going to play this way, have got to get a goal early.
Yeah.
Greenwood looking to lift the ball in behind. Cut out, though, by Rule. He'll carry it into midfield and now gives it back to Simmons. Here's Hayes. Across the back line into Minami. Olaslagers dropping in as an option. Minami. I'm trying to guess where Manuel Venegas might be now. Enadozie. Lifting it forwards and Hasegawa cutting it out in midfield. Clinton cushioning her header down though, but not to a teammate. Instead, out of play.
Yeah. The other thing I like about Brighton at the moment is that they've found that right balance. They're confident enough to get the ball down and play, but they're not taking too many risks. They're not overplaying in dangerous areas. They understand that if they're under the pressure, they're happy to just put their foot through it.
Venegas brought down there by Carolyn. And it will be a free kick for Brighton. A little bit of frustration kicking in for City early on here, you feel. A couple almost needless fouls. And Brighton just getting under the skin of the champions.
Yeah, I mean, they're 7 minutes in and City really haven't had a touch of the ball. And it's not the way they would have wanted these early stages to go.
Well, 63% possession for Brighton in the opening 7 minutes. That feels low, if anything, given how dominant Brighton have been. Hayes carrying the ball forwards. Now looks to slot it through the lines, and Seike will give chase and put Kanak under pressure here. Kanak gives it to Yamashita. Seike continues pressing high. And now Blinkilda Brown. Rose. Back to Yamashita. Here's Kanak. Plays it wide. With Clinton poking the pass into Khadija Shaw. Hayes on her back, though, and Shaw has to work really hard onto that, but does do well. And the pass, though, overhit. And this is what we saw again. A really key part of this game is stopping Shaw getting involved. And they do that by giving Caitlin Hayes the license just to follow her around the pitch. She's going to be aggressive with it every time.
Yeah, just doesn't let go of her almost. Just sticks to the back of her. And forces Shaw to try and loop that ball back overhead. And if that comes off and she finds Kasparai, then fair enough, that's an incredible pass. But as we see there, 9 times out of 10, it's going to go off the pitch or it's going to end up back in Brighton possession.
But equally, Brighton weren't outnumbered there. So even if that pass comes off,
Yeah.
Brighton have defenders back. Rose, now to Blinkilder. Kanak. Greenwood. Finds Yui Hasegawa, who's going to lift it over the top. Fairly speculative that from Yui Hasegawa, and Rule will get to the ball. Carries it away from Clinton confidently. Now Simmons. Hayes into Kankovic. Watching City, it's a bit like watching Barcelona in the Champions League final in the early stages. I've not seen them much this season hit a ball over the top that looks fairly aimless. I've certainly not seen Yui Hasegawa do it much before.
Yeah.
Hayes under a lot of pressure here to Simmons, round the corner into Rule, and they play out really well there, Brighton. And Rule coming forwards, knocks it down the right-hand side. Here is Kirby. And inside to Simmons. Switch to the play now looking for Venegas. Back inside to Kankovic. And Kirby making the run. Kankovic trying to pick her out, but Kanak will get in front of it. And now Clinton and City can hold on to possession now for more than a second.
Yeah, they just need to get a foot on the ball and get themselves into this final because, just under 10 minutes played and they haven't had a sniff so far. Brighton have been the ones in control, but they've got to find a way, City, to just stop the ball progression from Brighton. It's too easy for anyone in the Brighton back four to just run the ball up for 10, 15 yards without anyone challenging them. That's way too easy, in an FA Cup final.
Yeah. Rose now to Kirsten Kasperai. Looking to go down the line, and Brighton now in possession. Kankovic. And Simmons trying to punch the ball forwards there into a Brighton teammate. It's had a play for a City throw-in. While this doesn't look great, doesn't look a great move for Brighton, they've put City here deep in their own corner.
Yeah, City haven't got the ball down and made a good move yet. They've moved it around the back and then been forced long, and they've just played an aimless ball up the pitch.
Yeah, Kasper and Roach having a conversation, and Andre Yeglert is conferring with his coach here. Manuel Venegas feeling a little bit of discomfort in her shoulder, but I think he's going to be all right to continue. Just windmilling it back and forth. And now looks like nothing's wrong.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff.
I can only see
Should have done the job.
Yeah, maybe just got caught while jostling before the throw-in came in. But
I can't remember what she missed. She missed a lot of time at the start of the season. I can't remember whether that was what type of injury that was, but it may well have been a shoulder injury. Kasperai, long throw up the line, and Venegas sending it straight back into Haley, who tries to hold the ball up, and the offside flag up. It will be a retake of the throw-in, actually.
I was surprised Venegas didn't let it run in the first place, but went out anyway.
Venegas, Rose. Now Venegas, lifting it to Olaslagers. Kasperai stepping in. And, that should be a Brighton throw-in there as it cannons off the back of Kirsten Kasperai. There will be a Brighton throw-in.
City aren't in this at the moment. City are really not in this final. But it's the same criticism that always comes around when the games play out. It's been a great start from Brighton, but City will up their game eventually. Brighton have got to take advantage while they're on top. They've been the better side, but they've got but only one shot away. Haven't tested Yamashita yet. They've got to start to turn this dominance into chances.
Olaslagers through the lines looking for Haley, and Rose does enough. They just get around it, but Haley poking in there and does get to the ball. Was there any contact? Doesn't look like it. Olaslagers with so much the goal to aim for off the line from Greenwood. Haley now, and the game has been stopped because Yamashita's down. But a disarray defensively for City. And Alex Greenwood, she hurt herself in the process of blocking that off the line. Yamashita's also down here in some discomfort.
That would have been a very controversial moment if Olaslagers had put the ball in the back of the net with Yamashita down on the floor. I mean, fair, there's no incentive for Brighton to kick the ball out. It's an FA Cup final at the end of the day. Pittle might frown on it a little bit. Greenwood off the line, but you say Greenwood...
Rose just completely caught out there.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with what Haley's done, I don't think.
It's not a foul either way. They've both competed for the ball, and they've both got a bit of it. And Greenwood does brilliantly to get across and scramble it off the line, but I think just clocking her shin on the post as she got there.
The bigger concern for Man City here will be if there's any further damage done to their goalkeeper. Ayaka Yamashita has missed games previously through injury, seemed to be rushed back for this game with Kiara Keating picking up an injury in training in the week. I mean, the only goalkeeper available for City here is Eartha Cummings. Cummings did make her first senior appearance in the last game of the season against West Ham. It does look like Yamashita is in a bit of discomfort here, and it's her hip. And this would be a big concern for Man City.
Yeah, Cummings out to warm up, and I mean, hopefully Yamashita is okay, but I think this will, as long as she's all right, but this will come as well as a bit of a welcome break for Man City, a chance for Jäglers to get his players over the touchline and get them going. Yamashita is back to her feet, but doesn't look entirely comfortable.
I think we'll try and play through the injury, though, by the looks of it.
But if I'm Brighton, I'm Daria Vidicic, shoot.
Yeah, got to test her early.
Get out here now. You've just seen the goal go down. She doesn't look entirely comfortable. Got to try and force her into a save.
And you've also got to put the ball in behind because she's not going to be as confident coming out to try and claim it after just getting caught on that one. Again, nothing wrong with Madison Haley's attempt for the ball.
Yeah. So rightfully, nothing. Referee didn't give anything, just played on because there was nothing in it. Wasn't a foul from Haley, wasn't a foul from Yamashita, just a coming together.
In fact, the main thing, City were a little bit lucky there because obviously Yamashita was down, but there was no real reason to stop it when Madison Haley picked up the ball in the penalty area. And Eartha Cummings is tying her laces here. I think they're going to make a change, Man City.
Yeah, potentially. She's gone back out for it. So she came back in. So she went out for a jog, came back in.
Yamashita's still out on the field.
Yeah, she's not comfortable at all. Even if she continues, this is one of those situations where this is a headache for Jäglers because while you want to keep your starting goalkeeper on there, I think you'd rather a goalkeeper who isn't injured than in Cummings, rather than a goalkeeper in Yamashita who might be able to play on, is going to take something for the pain and I think she's going to play through it, which, I mean, hopefully she's fine, but as I say, if you're Brighton and Vidicic, you're thinking, let's get some shots off, let's force her into some saves because she's not going to be entirely comfortable. It's been a really poor start to this final for Man City, and Yamashita is going to continue, but that is not the sign of a goalkeeper that is in a good position. No,
not 100% at all there. Ayaka Yamashita. Hermie saying City are playing like they've already lifted a trophy. City are kind of playing like a side who've spent the week celebrating a trophy, and it makes it even more bizarre that they had their title celebration before the Women's FA Cup final. I get it was a sort of joint celebration with the men's team, but they could have delayed that next week considering the men didn't win the Premier League.
Yeah.
Yamashita launching it long. Hayes heading down. Here's Ola Slagers. And a good reaction from Blinkilda Brown, but it's turned over by Brighton. I think Blinkilda are a little bit fortunate to get the free kick there. Ola Slagers. Did she catch a little bit of Blinkilda Brown as well as the football?
Potentially. Just pulling her back on the shoulder, I think. A little bit too aggressive from Ola Slagers, but City, it'll be very intriguing to see how they come out after that little bit of a stoppage. Jäglers had the chance to get some instructions on board, have a word with his team, and let's see if it will make an impact. They've got a set piece, and they have been incredibly strong from set pieces this season.
Greenwood in towards the penalty area. Clinton Hemp trying to create space with a shot. And Adobe out to rush. And that's brilliant goalkeeping from Chiamaka. And Adobe dealt with the first and then jumps on Carolyn before she could get to the second.
I have to say, I don't know why Carolyn's backed out of that. Because I think if Carolyn throws herself at this, it would have been a lot closer than people I think we expected. Enadozie got there comfortably because Carolyn backed out. But I think if Carolyn went for that, Enadozie could have been in a bit of trouble.
So, Enadozie will look to launch this football forwards. As Brighton look to put City under more pressure. They've got to get back in the swing of it, Brighton, because they were all over City before that lengthy stoppage. Olaslaga sending it forwards now. Kanak heading it away on his far as Blinkert Brown. And now Rose is under pressure from Haley. And Haley, the press is brilliant. Gets a bit of contact on it, stopping the forwards pass. And out for a City throw.
Yeah, really good intensity from Haley. And very intrigued to see what kind of impact she can have on this final. A player that has really come into form in the back half of the season is the main reason why Brighton are here today. Of course, Nordam got the winning goal in the semi-finals, but Haley was instrumental in that comeback.
And scored as well in the quarters, of course, against Arsenal. Here is Fran Kirby. Now Oleslagers takes on Carolyn. Carolyn holding her back well. Oleslagers, Venegas laid off to Oleslagers. Clinton coming off to help, but a bit of space here for Brighton. And she finds Kirby. Now Simmons across to Oleslagers, to Simmons, breaking into the box. Shot charge down. Venegas trying to poke it forwards. Cut out by Clinton. I think she's got to look up there, Simmons, and see Fran Kirby, who I think was just about in an onside position.
Yeah.
But had to, I mean, in that position, saw a sight of goal in the FA Cup final. You can understand why she went for it, albeit a difficult effort to pull off.
Yeah. But again, it's another really nice move from Brighton. Now they are getting into some decent positions. They just need to start hitting the target.
Hayes into Kirby with 2 players on her. Drops in, though. Withstanding the pressure. And Simmons into Hayes. Kankovic. I don't think this Brighton side have misplaced a pass yet.
No.
It's been just incredibly accurate. And they just have such a strong understanding of the principles that Vidicic wants them to implement. I mean, at the moment, they've got 2 at Wembley with their 2 centre-halves splitting the box, and the deepest 2 players, they're central midfielders.
Yeah.
They're playing with so much confidence out there, Brighton. And Kirby wins out the pitch. Seike towards Kirby, cut out by Kanak. And Brighton were almost in there.
Yeah, limit too comfortable there from Seike. Who just tried to, I guess she tried to flick it quickly, but probably should have turned it into a proper pass rather than trying to backheel. But yeah, 20 minutes gone here, or just over 20 minutes gone. Man City look like the underdogs. It's incredible.
Clinton to Blinkilde-Brown, back to Hasegawa, and that's really nice from City. So they look to play out. Carolyn plucks it out the air, lifts it into Kirsten Kasparai, who now lifts it forward again, looking for the continued run of Carolyn. Brilliant tackle from Oleslagers, though. Wins the ball back cleanly. Kankovic under pressure. Back to Oleslagers. Kankovic. Oleslagers look down the line. Trying to find Madison Haley, but just slightly too much power on that pass forwards. Haley unable to get there.
Yeah. And again, though, positive intent from Brighton trying to get it forwards. City, though, showing some signs of warming up into this game.
Kanak launching long, and as Hemp dragged down, Charlie's ruled, I think, a little bit fortunate. That wasn't given as a free kick. Hemp continues going forward. Hayes gets across, though. Brighton have had 62% possession in the first 20 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, it's not quite Arsenal PSG. And definitely not in the manner of how City are playing, but it's still been a very strong start to the game for Brighton. Hasegawa, Kanak. Now Blinkilde-Brown. Into Carolyn. Venegas jumping high, and it's one high. And Brighton have an overload. Here's Kankovic. Options to the left and right. Venegas overlapping. Plays it into Manuela Venegas, who will drive towards goal. Chops back now and needs support. Finds Marissa Oleslagers. Oleslagers across to Simmons, who takes aim from range and wide of the mark. And you've got to feel there are better options there for Maisie Simmons.
Yeah, again, it's another really good move from Brighton. And to be honest, I think Venegas has got to hit this when she's bursting away. I think her touch blew it too wide potentially. But for me, when this ball comes out to her from Kankovic, her first touch is brilliant to burst past Rose. And then I think, it blew it too...
Really difficult angle for Venegas, to be fair. I think Simmons has got to find a better pass, though. So many options ahead of her. 5 players in a Brighton shirt against the City's backline of 4. You've got an overload there and you've got to use that.
Yeah.
But City just look lightweight in midfield. They've got 4 players in there. When Carolyn inverts with Clinton in there as well, you've got 4 players in midfield, and somehow they look like they've got none.
Yeah.
Brighton are playing through it too easily. And I mean, Jennifer saying in the live chat, the decision to choose Clinton and Carolyn, I just can't understand. They lack creativity in midfield. Yeah, I think there is a lack of creativity. I think there's a lack of steel. And we've seen this without Sam Coffey, but particularly without Coffey and without Miedemar. And without someone like Fagino, who's really good at holding onto the ball, whereas I don't think Carolyn is quite as good at holding onto it as someone like Ioba Fagino, there is a big difference in how this City midfield is functioning today.
Yeah, I think that, they are. That steel is massively important. We know the quality of City's team, but at the moment they're getting outworked and outmuscled. And when that happens, it doesn't matter what technical quality you've got, you're not going to get into the game.
Yeah,
it's getting to that point where I think you usually come to that saying where someone in a City shirt needs to make a big tackle. Just get stuck in, get the crowd up, get your team up, have something to celebrate. But the problem is, I look around and I think, who's going to do that? Who's just going to get stuck into this game and just start to fight back a little bit more? Because you're missing those physical and your presences.
Yeah, in midfield at least.
Yeah.
Atheist saying everyone's saying City are being poor instead of Brighton actually playing them off the park. That's why City look poor. I think both are true, though. I think that, Brighton are playing incredibly well at the moment. They are barely misplacing a pass. Decision making in the final third, as it has all season, is letting them down a little bit, but they look brilliant at the moment, Brighton, and they're nailing their game plan. But I think it's equally true that City have had a very slow start to this game. Lots of misplaced passes, lots of touches that are a little bit bobbly. They look quite nervy, Man City, compared to Brighton, who seem to be playing with a lot of freedom out there.
Yeah, it's incredible. If you ask me at the moment which side look like they're playing in their first ever FA Cup final, I'd say Man City. You wouldn't think watching them in these first 24 minutes that they are the WSL champions and that they've won this competition 3 times.
Carolyn back to her feet, which is good to see. Another injury concern early on here for Man City then, but it does seem that Carolyn will be all right to continue. City will be reduced to 10 for the moment, though, until she's reintroduced.
Yeah. Just City be hoping that these injuries concerns don't come back to bite them. But again, I think it's a stoppage that will be quite welcome. Just to take to take the rhythm out of Brighton's game and give City a chance to get back on the ball and try and wrangle back some control in this game.
Indeed. So City to build out from the back. On the referee's whistle. Rose across to Yamashita. We're back underway in this game. Yamashita lifting the ball forwards. Minami stepping up brilliantly. Simmons winning the midfield battle again there. Here's Olislagers. Now Kankovic. Under pressure from Clinton, finds Minami. Now Olislagers into Haley. Nice control from Haley, who gets away from Rose. Now across to Frank Kirby. Space take the shot. Try to find Olislagers. And it's just behind Marissa Olislagers there. Lovely passage of play again from Brighton. And just couldn't quite find the final ball. Genius from Kirby. Thought about the shot. I think it's a shot, to be fair, actually. Watching that back. A shot that's blocked towards Olislagers. But again, you can't blame Frank Kirby for looking to take the shot on there.
Yeah, I think she was in the right position. She was charged down by Greenwood. And Olislagers just looked to take it in her stride and maybe should have just focused on taking a touch and getting the ball into her possession. She just tried to let it roll through her legs and hit it first time.
Here is Simmons. Now Minami. Pass that wide to Kiko Seike. Minami. Here's Rule. Back to Kankovic. Brighton's deepest player again here, Helena Kankovic. Now Olislagers. Wide to Manuela Venegas. Haley. Pass down the line, looking for Venegas, who wants to take on Kasparai. And Kasparai poking it out of play well. Kevin saying, I cannot recall Bunny being mentioned in the commentary. A couple touches, but yeah, at the moment, she's getting bullied.
Yeah.
Absolutely bullied out there. 1 touch in this game. And she's not holding the ball up well enough up there at the moment, Khadija Shaw. And every time they're going long into her, Caitlin Hayes on her. Yeah. Immediately. Hasagawa loses possession on the edge of the box. Chance for Brighton. Here's Frank Kirby. Tries around the keeper. Second game and a big chance missed. And that should have been punished. It's too slow again from City. Hasagawa caught in possession. And that has to be a goal for Brighton. Brilliant here from Maisie Simmons and Helena Kankovic. Kankovic choosing the selfless option. Kirby just overplaying a little bit, but Seike has got to score this.
Wow. How are Brighton not leading in this game? Yeah. Kiko Seike had the whole goal to aim for. Yamashita was scrambling from the floor. And she just leans
back there. Kiko Seike, she goes to strike it. It's got to get over the ball there. Great chance for Brighton to take the lead in this FA Cup final, as would be fully deserved.
Wow.
City now looking to punish that big miss. Here's Hasagawa.
That's the problem. They've been the better side for 27 minutes, but they aren't ahead. And that is a problem in an FA Cup final. You've got to take advantage when you're on top, especially when you are the underdogs.
6 shots, only 1 on target. They've got to put Yamashita under more pressure. Simply put, they've had the chances now in and around the penalty area, and they're yet to test Yamashita outside of that one shot. One back high again by Brighton, but Rose this time able to recover it. City just look so lethargic on the ball.
Yeah.
And Brighton's press is just making it impossible for them to play out. Clinton dropping in now to receive the ball. Clinton into Kanak, Greenwood. Back towards Clinton, but Kankovic wins it back. And now Charlie's Raw picks up on the loose ball, driving it forwards for Brighton. Tries to shimmy it into Frank Kirby. Hasegawa putting her foot through the ball. And Hayes wins it offshore brilliantly. Great pressure there from Caitlin Hayes. Kankovic and Haley getting in each other's way there in midfield. There's just that intensity, urgency to get the ball for Brighton. Everyone wants to touch. Everyone wants to touch. Everyone wants to be involved. We're all there trying to knock it wide. Out of play though.
Yeah, the concern will be is that the intensity from Brighton will drop at some point. They can't maintain this for 90 minutes.
Can they not?
I mean, maybe they can.
There's been 2 stoppages in this game already.
True.
If they can just manage those moments and then use stoppages well. We've not seen Enadozie sit down yet. They can almost do that. Venegas into Haley. Rose there being assertive. Really good defending there from Jade Rose.
Yeah, Rose had a good game, to be fair. I think has stepped up well and has...
Are under pressure here. Kankovic swinging the leg there. Trying to win back possession. Into Kasparai and back now to Rose. I think Rose has adjusted really quickly. I think she got caught out massively and should have been punished for it. But outside of that, she's getting much tighter to Madison Haley since then. Kanak, Blinkilder with a load of space to work with here for Man City. As she looks to lift the ball forwards, and it's going to run, and Hemp will try and get there, but won't quite manage it. City being forced to try and go long. And that is not what we're used to watching for Manchester City.
No. It's been a very difficult half an hour for Jeglerts and his side, and we thought he'd come up with the solutions with the change in personnel selection to try and limit Brighton, but it has not worked at all.
Venegas hitting the channel, and Haley would have to be incredibly quick to get their Yamashita off her line to collect. And now Blinkilder Brown, and City have got Brighton a little bit deeper now. Can they use that? Kanak carries to the left-hand side. Now Greenwood goes down the line looking for Hemp. And Hemp has got the wrong side of Rule here. Rule standing her up well, but Hemp darts inside brilliantly. Plays it in towards the run of Clinton. Clinton lifting it into the box. And a wild delivery over the penalty area. Kasparai here recovering the ball. Venegas clipping at her heels. Here's Carolyn now. And Olaslagers wins back possession. Haley, Kankovic. I think Lauren Hemp's the only player that City are really having any sort of success when they get her the ball. But I mean, even then, she's not really got in possession. The front 4 for City have been anonymous.
Yeah.
Ball played forward. Seike's in here, but again, Yamashita out to collect. Yamashita clearing it directly up in the air, and I think the referee whistle has gone then. Seike and Greenwood came together. Will be a free kick for City.
Yeah, it did look to be a nudge in the back on Greenwood. But yeah, City just forwards haven't got in the game. And you're not going to create chances and you're not going to hurt teams when you can't get any of your attackers into the contest.
That's a late call there from the referee. Didn't actually blow a whistle until after Yamashita had booted up in the air. Kasparai just about heading that one down under pressure from Venegas. And now Rose. Back to Yamashita. Kanak playing it forwards. Olaslagers picking up in midfield, and it falls though to Khadija Shaw. Poor control from Olaslagers. Hayes though once again physical with Khadija Shaw. Kankovic into Haley. Rose jumping in front of her though. Hayes and Shaw both having really good games at the moment. In fact, just jumping in front of their attackers, and Hayes there stopping the ball through the lines again, and Brighton back in possession. Yeah, Shaw hasn't completed a pass yet.
Wow.
Every time she gets on the ball, Kate Hayes is all over her.
She's an incredible footballer, but she cannot score with single-digit touches.
4 touches, no passes out of 2 complete, 2 attempted, none completed. Dispossessed twice. It has been a shocking first 30 minutes for Khadija Shaw, but equally, she was awful in the semi-final until the 85th minute. She scored a brace and they won the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to write her off just yet, but yeah, it has been. Hayes has just been all over her. Kept her completely quiet so far.
And that will be a concern for City, is that they can't. They're going to have to raise it so they can't wait till 85 minutes again. Yeah, you'd think. Because Brighton at this rate will eventually score.
Venegas into Haley. Now Ola Slagers inside to Haley. Back to Manuela Venegas. As Kevin says, 170 people watching and only 34 likes. If you haven't yet left a like and you are enjoying the show, make sure to hit that like button. It massively helps us out. Seike here, holding up the ball well. Under pressure from Greenwood, who brings her down. That's a free kick now for Brighton.
Yeah, again, good work from Seike. Just holds on to it. Doesn't allow Greenwood to get around her and forces the City captain to concede the free kick. And Brighton can try and use this to keep the pressure on. They're taking it short and continue to move the ball.
Venegas, Seike, Haley now. Rose being aggressive. I think that's what has been missing a bit from that City team that Rose is bringing, is that strength, is that physicality, just knocking Haley off the ball. Kasperai, back to Jade Rose. Yamashita looking to lift out to the left-hand side. Greenwood, chests it down well. Khadija Shaw, positive touch. Can she find a teammate now? Shaw driving it forward to Clinton, breaking into the box. And, well, City, that's much better in the attacking third. Shaw actually able to be involved there. And Grace Clinton getting a shot away on goal.
Yeah, and that's the warning sign to Brighton. It's the first time that Khadija Shaw has beaten Caitlin Hayes to the ball. Hayes steps up and Shaw just skips past her. It's not a bad pass into Clinton, who does well to find the target through the bodies, but a comfortable save for Enadozie. But warning signs to Brighton.
Oh, Hemp's coming forward now. Could City find the goal to Khadija Shaw? Big save. Enadozie getting down to it. But they're starting to find their attacking players in a bit more space now, City.
Yeah, and again, Enadozie called into action. I think Khadija Shaw will be disappointed. She doesn't do more of this, puts it too close to the goalkeeper. You'd expect Khadija Shaw there just to smash that into the far corner and give Enadozie no chance. But
again, though, the positioning of the Brighton defenders makes that really difficult because you've got Kankovic there and you've got Simmons, and they're almost funneling that shot into Enadozie. Ball played forwards, and it is all the way through to Chiamaka Enadozie.
Better from City, though, just starting to raise their level. And this is why we said earlier that Brighton will be kicking themselves if they don't score while they're on top.
Yeah.
Because if City now start to come back into the game, they could find themselves trailing, which would be very harsh.
Oh, it's 3 shots through on target now for City. Brighton 5 shots, or 6 shots, 1 on target. Hasegawa now with Kirsten Kasperai, back to Hasegawa. Carolyn. Here's Hasegawa. Carolyn again. Hasegawa. Greenwood. Carolyn. Back to Jade Rose. And now Carolyn. Turns to face the opposition. Now to Kasperai. That's City forced backwards again. Here's Hasegawa. Rose. Hasegawa again, looking positively now, Yui Hasegawa. She'll just keep carrying this ball forward. Slips it down the line. Here's Kirsten Kasperai, space for the cross. Headed away, though, by Minami. And again, we know how Brighton can deal with crosses into the box. And here's Lauren Hemp. Kirby comes across and makes the tackle, and it's out for a Man City throw. Greenwood taking it quickly. Here's Hemp. And Rawl just trying to stand her up in there. Hemp wins it back. Now to Greenwood. Space to put the cross in here for Alex Greenwood. Will deliver it into the penalty area. Shaw gets there and heads home. Was there a foul on the keeper? Doesn't look like it. City take the lead in this Women's FA Cup final. Enadozie comes up to claim it, but it just looks like Shaw gets there ahead of her. And there will be a complaint from the Brighton players that Shaw made contact with Enadozie before the ball there. But Khadija Shaw heading home and City lead in the final.
Yeah, we should have a bit of a quiet first half here, but Shaw coming up with the goods, and there'd been warning signs for Brighton that City were coming into this game, and Greenwood was given too much time and space to swing the ball in, and Shaw rises highest. I mean, VAR will have a look, but I think Enadozie's got to be a lot stronger here. Cannot allow Shaw to outjump her there.
Yeah, it's very unusual of Chiamaka Enadozie. Brilliant usually at claiming the ball in the air. Let's have another look at this one. I think she just goes up a little bit half-assed.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think Anadozi's got to be stronger.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate way for the deadlock to be broken because Brighton have done so well here, but Anadozi's got to do better. I don't think she knows Shaw's there.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't. She looked like she'd misjudged it anyway. If Shaw wasn't there, I don't think she'd have claimed it cleanly. But yeah, there's nothing in that.
An unfortunate one for Brighton then to concede in that manner. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Khadija Shaw heading home. It's Brighton 0, Manchester City 1.
And this is why we say you've got to take your chances when you're on top, because if not, you get punished. That is exactly what has happened here. Brighton, the better side for 30, 35 minutes, but Man City, clinical and coming up with the opening goal.
Brighton punting it long. City now with a throw-in deep in their own half.
And just such an uncharacteristic error from Anadozi. He's had a brilliant season.
Yeah.
He's had a brilliant, he's made some good saves already in this game. But just gets beaten to the ball by Shaw.
Venegas carrying inside well. Here's Kankovic trying to slip it through to Kirby, but Rose comes across. She's been the best player on the pitch for City so far, Jade Rose.
Yeah.
Shaw. Now to Hemp, goes down the line. Clinton making the run off the shoulder. It's a poor pass from Hemp, and it will be out of play for a throw-in. Minami. Now Hayes. Olaslagers. Kankovic. Here is Haley. Ruled back to Hayes. And now Olaslagers.
Brighton can't let that goal rock their rhythm because they've started well here. They've got to keep going.
Simmons to Haley. Olaslagers wide now to Kankovic. City dropping in a little bit more now. I think they're just going to see this into the half. And play a little bit more reserved. I think it's totally fair. The way that Brighton move the ball around, I think the best way to counter it is just to be a little bit more defensive and sit in and play a more compact style. Hayes, Venegas. Carries down the line. Wow, Carroll in there. Bringing her down will be a Brighton free kick.
I say Venegas was very well there to draw a foul because she tries to take Carolyn on and ends up kind of running herself down a corridor where there wasn't too much space, but she draws the free kick smartly.
Simmons, now Minami. Switch the play into Kiko Seike. Hayes. Minami. Olaslagers. Ball through the lines into Haley. Lovely footwork from Madison Haley. Needs an option now and a little bit isolated here. Goes to Venegas. Now Olaslagers looks for Haley. Cut out low by Blinkhilda Brown, who pokes it back to Rose. And here is Yui Hasegawa. Kasparai. Rose. Kasparai, great pressure from Olaslagers. Comes off for an out for a City throw.
Yeah, City very happy to take this 1-goal lead into half-time. I think they'll understand that. I don't think fortunate to be ahead's the right way to put it, but I think they'll understand that Brighton were the better side for the majority of this first half.
Come on, back well by Kirby. And now Haley slots it through the lines, looking for Frank Kirby. And blocked by Rebecca Kanak, and out now for a Brighton corner.
Yeah, another good move from Brighton. Lovely football, another combination down this left-hand side, and Kirby doing the smart thing, just smashing it into Kanak and winning her side of corner.
And yeah, Brighton, I think they've played the better stuff here, just haven't been able to capitalise on it. Can they do anything from a corner? City have been so good at both attacking and defending corners this season. I think Brighton equally have a pretty decent record on set pieces. Frank Kirby over this. Should be a great time to score and bring them level just before the half. Kirby towards the back post. Yamashita comes, and that's a really good punch from Ayaka Yamashita. Simmons putting it back in the box. Greenwood getting good connection on the header. Kankovic. Now Olaslagers. Into Venegas. Pokes it back to Olaslagers. And here is Helena Kankovic. Roll. Now Simmons. Kankovic. Olaslagers goes down the line to Venegas. With Rose on her back. Into Kirby. Tries to flick around the corner. Comes off Kasparai. Kirby takes a throw in quickly and finds Venegas. Space for the cross, which she swings to the edge of the box. It's just misjudged there by Simmons. Now with Rule under pressure immediately there from Lauren Hemp. Hayes. Floating the pass out to the left-hand side. Venegas, that's a great control. Now looks to lift it into the box. Blocked though by Kasparai. And Clinton comes away with the ball in midfield. Looks to play it quickly into Shaw, but it comes off her heel. It's a little bit unfortunate there for Man City.
Yeah, right idea from Clinton, and Shaw makes a great run down the line, but just doesn't come off.
Too accurate from Clinton to find Khadija Shaw. Needed to be slightly faster. Here is Seike. Carries forward brilliantly. Lovely footwork from Kiko Seike. Lays it off to Olaslagers, who shifts it wide to Venegas. Got to get the shot away. Venegas does so. And I like the fact she's taken that on there early, Venegas. Easily could have delayed again there, but getting the shot away. Yamashita, though, able to make a comfortable claim.
Yeah, don't mind that at all. Just hit the target. That's exactly what Venegas does. Keeps it down, drills it well. And I just say it's comfortable for Yamashita in the end, but I like that from Venegas. Getting the effort away and seeing what happens.
Asagawa, Kanak, back now to Rose. We've got 7 minutes of additional time in this first half. There were a couple lengthy stoppages. Yamashita and Carolyn both going down. And the celebration after the goal. Obviously, Enadozi on the deck after the goal. And I guess it does add up to 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, some in the neutral section not quite enjoying this brilliant game of football. Here is Rule. Well, I think that's a little bit unlucky there that Brighton didn't get that throw-in.
Yeah, did look to just nick off the City player last. But 7 more minutes then for City to try and see this lead through to half-time.
Greenwood cut out by Charlize Rule. Seike into Kirby. Kirby into Haley. Haley upended there, and it will be a free kick for Brighton. And Haley down a bit of discomfort now. And Greenwood down. Also in pain.
Yeah, just a bit late there from Greenwood. Haley does well just to take the ball away from it, flicks it up nicely. Greenwood sticks a leg out and clatters in to the Brighton forward.
8 fouls committed by Man City so far. They are forced to make those fouls to stop Brighton.
Yeah, and this is in a very decent position. And when you've got Helena Kankovic and Fran Kirby on the football pitch, you've got a very good chance of this being a promising delivery.
Olaslagers and Kirby over this free kick then. Will it be Marissa Olaslagers or Frank Kirby to take? Brighton with 4 players here. And a couple in offside position. What will the routine be? And it will be Marissa Olaslagers lifting it into the box. Too close, though, to the goalkeeper. Yamashita able to make the claim.
Yeah, got to be better. I just bigged both of them up as being great deliverers of a football. I mean, Kirby could have fancied that, but yeah, Kankovic doesn't do enough with it. Got to take it away from the goalkeeper.
Here's Yamashita. Now Rose. To Kasparai. Back to Jade Rose. Haley putting the pressure on again. Blocks the clearance. This time out for a City goal kick.
Yeah, again, pressure's been brilliant from Brighton. They've done very well to pin City in, for the majority of this game, but just haven't been able to a couple of shots on target. But we've not seen Yamashita forced into a brilliant save as of yet.
Here's Jade Rose. Now to Kirsten Kasperai. Kasperai back to Rose. And now Yamashita sending the ball forwards. Cut out well by Minami. Kankovic heads on. And 2 Brighton players on the floor here. Shaw holds the ball up well, tries to play it wide. Poor pass though, as it's cut out by Charlie's Rule. Minami across to Hayes. Hayes now will look to knock it in behind, and Seike will give chase. I think there will just bounce through to Ayaka Yamashita. Trying to target that space in behind Rebecca Kanak. They know Seike has the advantage in the foot race, but they need to bring City higher up the pitch to create that space to play into. Rule makes a bit of a miscontrol. And now Carolyn driving the ball forwards. Minami stands her up and Carolyn's overplayed it. And Rule just knocking it away. Shaw on the edge of the box battling away. A City free kick. Should have been a better clearance there. Shaw able to pounce and drawing the foul on the edge of the box.
Yeah, it was a let-off of Brighton that Carolyn made a mess of it. But the clearance was played straight to Shaw, who was winding up to shoot. And I think she was just caught by the recovering Simmons. Yeah, it is a foul from Simmons. Just catches Shaw through the back.
To be fair, I don't think that's a bad free kick at all. I know this is a very close proximity to goal, but to get this up and under the bar is going to be difficult.
I'll give my opinion on whether it was a good foul or not once this free kick's been taken.
That's fair, yeah.
If Carolyn steps up and whips in the top corner, then terrible idea. But yeah, I think it's one of those free kicks where it's almost a bit too close.
And this will look brilliant if Carolyn now wraps it in the top corner.
Yeah.
That's dismissing any chance of that. What can Carolyn do here then? Hasegawa will act as a bit of a blocker here for the wall. And the referee getting out more of the spray. Greenwood also over this.
Yeah, I don't think it's just Greenwood. I think Carolyn's got to go on the side. Enado's is very central. I think Carolyn's got to go to the right hand side here. Don't go over the wall. Just look to find that far corner.
And hope Rose and Hasegawa do their jobs and get out of the way of it. Doesn't look like Greenwood's going to hit this. Alex Greenwood puts it across. Brilliant free kick from Alex Greenwood. Sensational finish from the free kick. Lifts it up and over the wall and finds the bottom corner perfectly. Alex Greenwood extends City's advantage. And well, that wasn't a good foul then from Simmons. And Greenwood, Harry, should definitely have taken it.
Yeah, it's a great strike from Greenwood. Wraps her foot around it. And I thought it would have been easier for Carolyn to find that far side of the goal. But Greenwood does brilliantly. Just drills it low. Enadozie, I mean, as a goalkeeper, you're always going to be frustrated to be beaten on that side. She's very central, Enadozie. She's
got to do better there, Enadozie. Greenwood's going to do very well to get this up and over the wall and keep it under the bar. I think Enadozie's got to read that it's likely going to go to the other side. Hasegawa and Rose ducking out the way of it brilliantly, and they just create a parting for Greenwood to send that ball thrown into the bottom corner. But yeah, I agree. I think Enadozie's position has got to be better there.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a time to score. Seconds left of the first half, and City in a half where they've probably been outplayed for the first 30-35 minutes, are now going into half time 2 goals for the good.
I think they were outplayed for 45 minutes. I think outside of the minutes around the goal where they got the ball forward and capitalised on Brighton mistakes well, I think they were outplayed, but they've scored their chances and Brighton failed to take any of theirs. And at half-time, it's Brighton 0, Manchester City 2. The goals from Khadija Shaw and Alex Greenwood from a free kick. Greenwood, a goal and assist in this half. Talk about a captain stepping up at Wembley Stadium. Alex Greenwood has been phenomenal in the first half in an attacking sense. Not what we're used to saying for Alex Greenwood.
Yeah, it's popping up with a big goal from the set piece, and that is a crucial time to score for City, because 1-0 and 2-0 are very different scorelines going into half-time of an FA Cup final. We always say, yes, we say 2-0 is the most dangerous scoreline in football, but I think that extra goal could be massive. And Brighton, with a lot of, after such a positive first half, have got a lot of work to do. But we've seen strange things happen, and I think we're in for a cracking second 45. But 45 minutes where I don't think the side that are 2-0 up played the better football, which is a very weird position to be in. But yeah, very positive for Brighton. It's difficult because it was positive for Brighton, but equally they're now 2-0 down. So it was actually quite a disappointing half in the end. But the football that was played, I think Vidicic and his side will be wondering how on earth they are losing this game.
Yeah, it's one of those matches where the way the game was played and in terms of which manager's done better in this half, Brighton nailed the setup and have put City under all sorts of pressure. But that only takes you so far in a game, and the players out on the pitch have to make the impact at some point. And I think this game has shown where Brighton's problems have been all season: a lack of clinicality in the final third, and a lack of decision making in the final third. So many times they've got into great positions, not found the final ball, and not provided the finishing touch. City, they've had 2 chances really in this game, if you can even say they're both chances. I think the free kick is a fantastic free kick, but equally it's a really close one. Brighton should do better to stop it. And then a ball thrown into the box for Adobe, 9 times out of 10, or 10 times out of 10 this season, claims, makes the mistake. And they've done really well to capitalise on that, City, and that is football. The side with the world-class players have taken their chances with brilliant individual moments, but tactically, Brighton have been the best side in this final.
Yeah, exactly. That clinicality in the final third has decided this. And I think that it's a really harsh way to lose a football game. But as you say, and we said it throughout that first half, in any game of football, but most importantly in a final, you have to take advantage while you're on top. And Brighton, for the majority of that first half, were playing the better football, created the better chances, and just didn't put the ball in the back of the net. And we said they'd be punished, and that is exactly what's happened. And I think that it's a difficult one, because while Vidicic and his team will be, proud of how they played and the way they took the game to City and they played the better football, they will be very disappointed that they're in this position, because they know they should have taken advantage. I mean, we saw countless opportunities wasted. Venegas had a couple. Kirby had a massive one, and for a player like her to not provide it at Wembley is a big surprise. Seike had the best one of them all, and really should have found the back of the net. And chances have come and gone. And usually, when you miss chances in a game like this, in a game of this magnitude, they're going to come back to hurt you. And that's exactly what happened. And that's the thing. If you give the City players the chances that Brighton have created, they would have taken them. And that is what's separating the two sides at the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why there is some encouragement for Brighton going into the second half, that this game isn't over. But I'll tell you what, 2-0 down at half time to the WSL champions is a position that I do not envy Vidicic and his side for being in, and they've got a lot of work to do.
No, and Shells in the live chat, do you think Brighton need to make changes, lads? Don't we know much about them? I don't really see what Brighton change. I don't think Brighton, and this is where individual quality comes in, because I don't think Brighton could have played any better.
Yeah.
And they're 2-0 down at half time. And that's the cruel reality of football, is you can play incredibly well and just not take your chances and not score the goals and not have players who can step up in moments. City's 2 goals there have come because of a fantastic cross from Alex Greenwood, it has to be said, and then a mistake from Adobe, which Shaw capitalised on, and a mistake from Charlie's Rule, which Carolyn capitalises on, makes a bit of a mess of, and then they get a free kick and Alex Greenwood comes up with a brilliant moment. And that's football. That's how it goes sometimes. You can play incredibly well for 45 minutes. Brighton were much better on the ball, almost near accurate with every single pass. They were pressing incredibly intensely and stopped City playing out very effectively. And when they got the ball, Brighton, they were moving it through the lines really quickly. But ultimately, football comes down to how many balls go in the back of the net, how many goals go in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And when they get into the final third, Brighton, it's the decision making has been poor, the finishing's been poor, and that's what's cost them in this game. City haven't got into the final third much. 11 touches in the opposition box for Brighton, just 6 for Manchester City. 1 big chance created apiece. The key difference, though, 6 shots for Brighton, 5 for City, 2 on target for Brighton, 5 on target for City. Wow. Every time City have got a shot away, it's been on target. They're putting Adobe under pressure with all of them. and they found 2 goals.
I mean, that's incredible. Strike rate from Man City. And yeah, it's a very difficult position to be in. But I think that we could have seen this coming. Brighton's struggles in front of goal have been masked by the form they've found at the end of the season. Players like Haley stepping up, players like the return of Kirby been a massive help. But we've seen Haley step up, we've seen other players step up and deliver. And that form is at the end of the day, it's what's got them to the FA Cup final, and it's what saw them finish 5th in the WSL. But they needed that to continue into today. But they've had a couple of weeks since they've played, and that form has dissipated a little bit. And the problems that we saw at the start of the season have returned in that 45 minutes. And now it's landing them in a really really difficult position. They'll be frustrated because they know they should be in a better position. I don't think as you read out those stats, City putting all their shots on target. I don't think there's much Brighton could do about that. But I think the stronger argument is that, yes, Ando's could maybe done a bit better, but the stronger argument is that Brighton have also had the chances to score 2 goals in this game.
Yeah.
And suddenly, I think 2-2 at half time would be a very fair scoreline if Brighton had found their clinical touch.
Yeah, Nigel went to the stream, very honest Man City fan, in full cap saying, how on earth have we scanned that? First half hour was absolute garbage. Yeah, I think, again, as we've said a lot in this half time, Brighton were far the better side in the first half.
Yeah.
But again, football comes down to who can take their chances, who can score the goals. And it was Man City that did. Having a look back at that Shaw header, I don't think we need to talk about it for long, but it's evidently not a foul. Khadija Shaw showing her quality. Enadozi's got to do a lot better there.
Yeah. It's 2 weeks for Enadozi.
If she's got hands on the ball there and Shaw heads through and barges her out of the way or anything like that, then it's a foul. There's nothing wrong with that. Enadozi, again, you even said it at the time, doesn't look like she's even going to... Potentially doesn't even look like she's going to get to the ball without Shaw being there. And it's just got to be much stronger there. And it's a shame. Enadozi has been so good and claiming balls, claiming crosses. One of the best in the league. I think the most high claims this season of any goalkeeper in the WSL. And Brighton invite crosses for that reason. But when it matters, Enadozi's made a mistake there.
Yeah, and that, at the end of the day, that's what Wembley does to you. That's what the occasion does to you. But it's just really weird to see a goalkeeper of Enadozi's quality and experience get it wrong in this kind of game. And I think she'll be disappointed about the free kick as well. But I think that both goals will feel pretty needless for Brighton. It came from a cross. The ball in from Greenwood should never have been allowed for the first one. And Simmons it's a clumsy foul on the edge of the area to give away the free kick for the second. It's handed Alex Greenwood a goal and an assist, but they're 2 very preventable goals. You look at the time and space that Greenwood had for that cross, it's almost like it was a set piece. The way her first touch could just stop the ball dead and then she could whip it in. That's too easy from Brighton. And I think they'll be frustrated because Vidicic will look at it as not only could they scored themselves, but in the build-up to both strikes, very preventable goals. And, it's at the end of the day, you've got to stop Man City from doing that. You can get it right for in 98% of the areas, but if you get it wrong in that other 2%, you're gonna end up behind.
Yeah, as Rain says, Greenwood assist was perfect as well. Crosses don't need to be whipping, just accurate, especially with a centre forward like Bunny. I think what she does really well there, Greenwood, though, and it kind of, you said there that she stops it dead. And that's exactly right. She makes it into a set-piece situation. And what she does so brilliant with the delivery is that she gets the height on it because that is going to give Khadija Shaw an advantage over anyone else. And the accuracy is perfect. But the key thing is that it's coming away from the goal. And what that gives Khadija Shaw is a distinct advantage because Enadozi likes to catch. And if it's coming in, if it's an in-swinger, I'm trying to remember what outswinger and in-swinger is. Yeah. If it's an in-swinger, Enadozi's going to have the advantage there to claim it. But an outswinger, that favours goalkeepers who like to punch. And Enadozi, I think, just gets caught there because she doesn't fully commit. And I think a lot of this season, Enadozi's been brilliant at committing, but she doesn't for that one as it's swinging away from her. That gives it back into Khadija Shaw's hands. And Greenwood trusts Khadija Shaw to be able to adjust and understand the flight of the ball. And again, that height advantage helps massively for Khadija Shaw. Brilliant in the air. Scott Haynes, as soon as Brighton goalkeeper had a shocker, should have saved both easily. I agree. Yeah. Again, it's a shame. I think Enadozi's been the best goalkeeper in the league this season. I think most people would agree with that. And it's Wembley, isn't it? Wembley does weird things to
Yeah.
you. She's made a claim there which 9 times out of 10 this season she claims without issue. A free kick where I think she just has to adjust across the left there. Greenwood's not going to get that up and over the wall very easily. I think you've got to anticipate that's going to come to the other side. And yeah, Enadozie was just too central there. You said it before the free kick was even taken. It just gave that bit of space for Greenwood to work with.
Yeah, and of course Greenwood does very well. She puts it
Obviously
straight in the bottom, like perfectly in the bottom corner, and it gives Enadozie. It makes it more difficult. But I think as a goalkeeper, you should never be beaten on your side. You know, at the end of the day, if the ball goes over the wall and goes in the back of the net, you turn around and start pointing fingers at your wall, because they've not done their job. If the ball gets over the wall haven't done their job. But as a goalkeeper on the other side, that's down to you, and to get beaten there will be disappointing. But yeah, Brighton, I think overall will be very disappointed to be in this position, and it's kind of left it in a weird place, because there's a very realistic chance that Man City come out in the second half and you know, even in an even half, get another 2 goals, and suddenly it's the same 4-0 margin that Man United beat Tottenham by 2 years ago. But Brighton have played much better than Tottenham did in that final.
Yeah.
That final was Man United's for the whole 90 minutes. And if this game, there's a good chance this game ends the same scoreline, but it's been a very, very different game. And I think that would be very harsh for Brighton if they were on the end of a bit of a one-sided scoreline, because it wouldn't represent the way the game's played. But I mean, to be honest, I predicted 3-1 Man City at the start. I think I've got a good chance of that coming true. If Brighton play like they did in the first half, I'd expect another very even game. And if they can be clinical, then who knows? Next goal is absolutely massive. If Brighton score and it goes 2-1, suddenly it's game on. If City score next and goes 3-0, it's game over. Next goal is absolutely massive. Brighton know they'll see themselves in a position where they're 2 goals down in a cup final with only one half left, and it's very important they don't panic. They've got time, and they don't need to rush and try and get the goal immediately. They can take their time, settle into the half, because even if they don't score till the 60th minute, they've still got half an hour to find an equaliser. So there's still a good chance of Brighton to turn this around. But with City's quality, I mean, they've only lost once from a losing position all season. And I would be very surprised if that number was to increase today.
Lost once from a losing position? Is that a statistic?
One winning position, sorry.
Yeah.
They've lost once from a winning position.
I think if you're in a losing position, you tend to lose.
If you're in a losing position, you only lose once. That's actually brilliant.
Yeah.
You're great at turning the game around. But no, they've lost once from a winning position. And I think it would take something quite drastic and quite special from Brighton for them to turn this game around. But again, we've seen some crazy scenes. We've already said it with Enadozie. Wembley does weird things to you. All it takes is Man City have a bit of a weird moment, and suddenly, I'd probably bet that Brighton wouldn't capitalise on it and would miss the chance. But yeah, there's always opportunities will come for Brighton, and they've got players like Kirby who've got the quality to turn this game around. So they can't count themselves out of it yet. City aren't clear, but as I say, next goal is absolutely massive.
Yeah, I think again it comes down to quality, doesn't it? Because you look at that bench for Brighton, and who comes in and makes a massive difference. I think Camacho gives you a bit of chaos in the final third, which could be really important. But you're not going to sub her on because you don't really trust her to bring you a goal yet. Tvedden's a player who can definitely provide a goal, but she's not played anywhere near enough for Brighton yet to be trusted in this kind of game. Yeah, I just don't see who comes on and makes a massive difference now for Brighton. Whereas if City were in the position where they were chasing a goal, you've got Fowler, you've got Pochettino, you've got Viviana Miedemar. That's an absolutely ridiculous set of players to be able to bring on. And are they considering Viviana Miedemar here, or is she becoming a coach? She's definitely discussing something here with Andre Yeglets, which is great to see. I mean, if anyone's... We've spoken about this before, but if anyone at the moment is going to go on to become manager, it's going to be Viviana Miedemar.
Yeah, I think the way she reads a game is incredible. And so no changes then for either side, but I'm sure we'll see her introduced at some point. Brighton, with work to do, but yeah, I think this second half could still come towards them, and it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out.
Indeed. Well, can Brighton turn this game around then, or will Man City complete a historic double? It is Frank Kirby from the middle waiting for the referee's whistle to get us back underway here at Wembley Stadium. Frank Kirby knocks it back, run away for another 45 minutes. Simmons punting it long into the corner here. And they'll look to put City under pressure in possession. Here is Kasperaj playing it up the line. One back by Olaslagers. Poked out by Carolyn and out for a Brighton throw.
Yeah, they've got to pick up where they left off, Brighton. From the way they moved the ball in the final third in that first half. Got to keep City under pressure.
Kankovic. Now Haley. Nice movement from Madison Haley, trying to get away from Rose. Here is Manuela Venegas. And Kankovic. Forced backwards by Carolyn. Now finds Minami. Kankovic. Pass through the lines. Looking to find the run of Olaslagers. It's lovely movement. Actually got some support up there. Olaslagers taking a touch off Blinkilda Brown. Out for a Brighton throw.
Yeah, just had no one in the box. Great ball through to her, but just had no one to cross it to.
Kankovic will drive inside here. Trying to take a few more risks now, Brighton, but it's turned over. And Shaw lays it to Carolyn. Venegas gets back in brilliantly. And Carolyn has just not been able to get into this final at all.
Yeah, no. Very quiet. And Venegas had another really solid game. I think she's been a brilliant addition to this Brighton side. And yeah, another very, very good game.
Here's Hayes. Now Minami. Back to Enadozie. And Enadozie will look to lift it long. Headed away by Greenwood. Turned over by Charlie's Rule. Here is Kirby. Lovely movement from Frank Kirby. Finds Rule, who will continue carrying this forwards. Hem trying to bring her down, but Rule keeps going here. Hasegawa eventually bringing her down. I think it's been given as a City free kick there. Which, after a number of fouls on Rule, is a little bit unfortunate there for Charlie's Rule.
Yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't pulled back. I think Rule does clatter into Hasegawa, and it's smart for Hasegawa to get her body in between Rule and the ball, but there looked to be a pullback on the Brighton player before that happened.
Here's Kanak, goes to Yamashita, who's forced there into knocking it towards the edge of the pitch, and Greenwood trying to nod it down the line, but it's out for a throw. Great pressure there from Brighton.
Yeah. Not really sure why that was the attempted pass from Yamashita and she didn't just smash it up towards Khadija Shaw. That might be my outball every single time.
And the problem was that she had Haley with the curved run. It's going to make it very difficult to play that forwards. I think choosing a safer option there, not bad when you're 2-0 up in an FA Cup final.
Yeah.
Kankovic goes back now to Venegas. Simmons, lovely control and turn into Kirby. Kirby knocks it wide. Here's Kiko Seke, who wants to take on Greenwood. Now to Kirby. On back by Blinkilda Brown. And now City will look to transition quickly. It's Hemp carrying it forwards. They don't have loads of numbers forward here, City, but they do have Lauren Hemp and Khadija Shaw. And Hemp tries to play it through. On back, though, by Minami.
Yeah, it's a bit of miscommunication between Hemp and Shaw, but what an intervention from Blinkilda on the edge of the area, because Frank Kirby had knocked the ball out of her feet and was ready to let fly.
It's Kirby. Now Hayes. Rule. Gives it back to Minami. And Jeremy says, we're surprised Carolyn wasn't sub for Gino at half-time. Yeah, I think I guess there's not really the necessity to just yet. But I imagine that would be a substitution they're thinking about. Seagulls looks to lift it over the top. And it'll run through to Enadozie.
Since the 5th minute, Haley hasn't had any joy against Rose. And just hasn't been able to get in the game. Jade Rose has had since that hiccup, has had an absolute stormer.
Minami into Haley, brought down there, and it will be a free kick for Brighton. Venegas. Minami. Hayes goes down the line, and it's picked off well by Greenwood, and Seke trying to recover possession, ends up catching Alex Greenwood. Will be a free kick for City.
Yeah, a little bit late there from Seke. Just trying to keep the intensity up, trying to win the ball back, and just catches the City captain on the top of the foot. But yeah, good to see Brighton though are continuing to keep that high intensity up in the second half.
Hermiarski wiping to Sam Coffey. Picked up a leg injury, I believe, on international duty with the USWNT. Was on crutches on the final day of the season. Carolyn lifts it into the box, headed away brilliantly there by Caitlin Hayes. And now Rule under pressure. One back by Hemp in the box. City should finish it off, and Hemp trying to go for goal. And I think that it has been pulled back for the foul on Charlie's Rule. Referee just letting it run there, obviously. With VAR, I believe, in operation today.
Yeah.
But it does. It's clumsy from Rule. I don't think it's a foul.
No, I think that's a massive let-off because Brighton completely switch off. No one gets out to Hemp and just lets her shoot. No one reacts quick enough, just expecting the whistle to go. And yeah, if they're lucky, if that goes in and VAR have a look, I think that stood.
Simmons heading away. Hemp now knocks it directly up in the air and nods on. Here's Shaw. And now Hasegawa. Pass inside. One back by Khadija Shaw. Here comes City. Poked on towards Carolyn. Cut out by Venegas. Olaslagers onto Venegas. And she'll keep going there. Pamela Venegas. But can't quite keep it in her control.
Just keeps running. And again, what she's done so well for Brighton all season, just progress the ball, charging down the left-hand side.
Ball in behind there from Hasegawa, looking for Carolyn. Cut out, though, by Venegas. Now, Carl says, what's happening with Carolyn? She's not her usual self. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. I think she's a player who thrives against teams who play high line, so I thought she'd have a bit of joy today, but hasn't been able to deal at all with the physicality of Venegas. That role for City often involves coming inside as well, and Brighton is so good in central areas. She's just getting bullied at the moment. Greenwood now Kasperite looks to go long and out of play for a Brighton goal kick. Yeah, I thought they'd go for Gino for the sort of tactical role that she's going to fulfill in this system, but they went for Carolyn, and I just think she struggled when she's had to invert in central areas.
Yeah.
And struggled in wide areas because of how well Venegas has played.
Yeah. I think that'll be a change that we see soon, although I think, yeah, let's be mindful of not trying to change up too much. I think I saw earlier today that City have made the least changes, least substitutions across the WSL season out of any of the other clubs in the division. But yeah, I think it's a difficult position to be in. Do you make the changes while you're winning, or do you risk upsetting the balance? Although I think it would be a positive one.
I have to say, that does surprise me on the City made the least changes. Not statistic I would have expected, just because they've had a lot of games they've been dominant and probably could have rotated things. Yellow card there from Rebecca Kanak. A clumsy foul, just taking out Madison Haley.
Yeah, Haley on the charge, and Kanak just comes back in and takes her out.
Yeah, not clumsy, aggressive.
Yeah.
Nowhere near the ball, and a smart yellow card.
Yeah,
Kanak.
It's a very tactical foul, because if she doesn't do that, Haley is running and Brighton have a 3-on-3 with Kanak out of position.
It definitely gives something for. I mean, already Brighton have been targeting the left side of that City defence, but it gives something for them to target even more. Free kick taken quickly. Referee isn't happy though, and that's kind of screwed what Brighton were trying to try there, because now City know what they're going to do.
Yeah, this is going to go a lot. It's going to go in the box now.
Ball lifted into the area. Hayes gets up to it, nods it into the right sort of area, but unable there. Any Brighton player to get on the end of it. Needed to be a little bit more diagonal. It was a bit too straight towards the keeper.
Yeah, just cushion that. That's a Yamashita, which she'll welcome all day long.
Here is Kanak. And now Rose. Clinton round the corner to find Carolyn. One back though by Minami. Here's Roll. Back to Mwaka Minami. Haley. Olaslagers. One back by Kasperine. Now Rose. Blinkilda Brown. Switching the play into Alex Greenwood. Hemp. Back to Greenwood. Now Hasegawa. Then Kilda Brown looking to play to the right-hand side. Carolyn now. Casbright trying to play the cross, blocked by Venegas. And now cleared by Manuel Venegas. It does feel like the intensity's dropped for Brighton.
Yeah.
Quite significantly.
Yeah, I think that their game plan would have, if they'd been clinical, it would have worked perfectly. They'd have raced into an early lead and then could have just sat in and absorbed pressure. But they've now got a mix of trying to be aggressive and come forwards while, as you say, that intensity just dropping a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of how they played against Liverpool. Against Liverpool, it felt like they were very laboured in the first half. And the second half really turned things up.
Yeah.
A notch, and that just made a massive difference. And so they had that game and they were 2-0 down, very similar to this game. But the difference was they hadn't ran themselves ragged for 45 minutes, and of course they did score.
Yeah,
in the first half. And that's a very different situation, of course, playing against Liverpool at Liverpool compared to playing against Man City at Wembley in the FA Cup final. But it's interesting to see how the approach has been different. Yet they've come out with probably a worse result.
Yeah.
Venegas. Now Minami, Venegas into Helena Kankovic. And Adobe will play to the right-hand side. Hayes. Back to Helena Kankovic. And on to Manuel Venegas. Minami is a wide option there. Thinks better of it going back to Kankovic. Now Simmons. Good hold up from Kiko Seike. Here's Simmons. Looks to go down the line to Charlie's Rule. Lauren Hemp does well, though, to get herself the right side of the ball. Don't think there's a foul in there at all. And I think Rule's hesitation there has changed the referee's mind.
Yeah, I thought the referee did very well to not fall for that and just play on, and then backtracked on that decision. Just a bit of a shame, but I think we're in a position here which both sides won't necessarily mind. City will be happy because they're still leading 2-0 in an FA Cup final, but Brighton have done enough. We're 12 minutes into the second half, and they've kept themselves in the game. They haven't conceded again, which is important.
Hasegawa now to Hemp. Wants to take on Charlie's Rule. Lifts it into the area, and I think there Clinton taking the header away from Khadija Shaw.
Wow.
Great chance there for City to make it 3 and realistically put this game to bed. Karen now breaking into the penalty area. Gives it to Clinton. Shot on goal. And Adosi reacts late but does get down to it.
Yeah, a complete miscommunication between Olis Lagers and Simmons on the edge, and it allowed Carolyn to get in, place it to Clinton, who doesn't do too badly, to be fair. He looks to pass it into the bottom corner. But Adosi does well to get down to it and keep her side in the game.
Yeah, Josie leaving it a bit late there. The City fan behind the goal. Thought she was never getting down to it. Simmons. Now Minami. Back to Enadozi. Plays it across to Minami. Down the line to Venegas. Lovely poke inside to Simmons. And it's one back by Haley. And a pass inside to Kirby. Lovely control from Fran Kirby. Kirby now knocks it wide. Seike. What can Seike do here? One back in there by Lauren Hemp. Seike turns it over again, though. Kankovic on the edge of the box. Lays it off to Olaslaga. Charged down well. And the ball cleared away. And Shaw is going to get there ahead of Hayes. Hayes gets back in, though. And wins it back. It's brilliant defending from Caitlin Hayes.
Superb. Just stands her up, doesn't dive in, and then Shaw looks to make the move, gets her foot in and takes the ball away from her cleanly.
If she wasn't already 30, I'd be telling all the big four clubs to go and sign her.
Yeah.
Caitlin Hayes this summer, because what a season she's had, and this performance at Wembley Stadium has been incredible. Put out a play by Blinkilda Brown, and now a Brighton throw-in taken quickly by Venegas, and a little shake of the head there. Was that a foul throw from Venegas?
Yeah, I think she got away with one. And we've seen quite a few. I feel like we've more or less been happy to give them this season. I feel like I've seen it on a unusually large amount. But yeah, throwing it a bit into the ground there, and then we're gonna get off. I think we're gonna get our first changes in the afternoon.
Indeed, we will. A double change to Manchester City. And if you're 2-0 down in the Women's FA Cup final, Harry, who are the last two players you want to see coming off the bench?
Well, depends if I could pick anyone, but Man City are throwing on Miedemar and Virginia, and that is not a position that Brighton want to be in.
No, not at all. Clinton and Carolyn, both players who I think Brighton have been able to nullify quite effectively, making way then for Viviana Miedemar and Ayoba Firgino. Two changes that will probably bring a spark to the City attack if it needs it.
Yeah. And when we're talking about the fact that another goal for City would put Brighton, would put them out of sight, bringing on Firgino and Miedemar is going to be a big help towards that.
Indeed. Shell asks, are there any other games after this one? Are all the games for the season done now? This is the last game of the domestic calendar. We do still have internationals coming up next week, so make sure to join us for that. England in action. That will hopefully secure their place in the 2027 Women's World Cup. If they lose heavily to Spain, though, they may well end up... And if they lose their other game, then they definitely will. But they may well lose that top spot and have to go through the rest of the qualifiers. If they can finish top of that group, though, they will be one of the first sides to qualify for the tournament next summer in Brazil. Ball forward into Madison Haley. And now spread to Kiko Seike. Seike up against Greenwood. Seike wants to take her on here. Lovely footwork from Seike. Shot towards goal. A good save from Yamashita. Seike there, making life difficult for Alex Greenwood, getting the shot away. And, too close to Yamashita, really.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't mind it, though. And Yamashita does well to react because it was a bit of a disguised effort from Seike. Didn't really look like she was going to pull the trigger, and she did, but you're going to need to get more power behind that to beat Yamashita from that angle.
Hemp knocks it down the line. Here's Khadija Shaw. And Hemp comes away with the ball and looks to take on Minami. Brilliant defending, though, from Mweka Minami. Just stands her up. Seike heading it on, looking for Kirby. That's one back by City, and Lincoln Brown just about holding on to possession, but it's one back well by Rule. And now Kankovic will carry forwards, and a goal for Brighton. Still with time in this game, could change everything. Here's Kankovic. Now Seike poking forwards, looking for Rule, but it will be seen back to a goalkeeper there by Rebecca Kanak.
Yeah, I don't think Rule ever thought that pass was coming to her. Didn't turn around once and look at Seike. And again, it's positive from Brighton, but again, it's just not coming together.
Now, Shamandor says Brighton need to get a better right wing back to play this formation. Charlie's Rule isn't a wing back. I think she does. I think she's had some poor moments this season. I absolutely agree. But the problem with that role is you need to be a hybrid of a midfielder, fullback, centre back, and then sort of like an attacking fullback, which is impossible. Venegas is brilliant for it, and I think Rule is as close as you're going to get in terms of a profile that can just about do it. Though Rule has, I think, landed pretty horribly on that knee there. Just need to stumble. And he's going to try and walk it off.
Yeah, I think she struggled when she made that burst forwards that Seike tried to play out, but it was a bit of a half-hearted jog in the general direction of where the pass might go, and then end up being nowhere near her. But yeah, maybe a bit of a concern there for Brighton.
Corner here for City, and we know their prowess from these situations. And if there's ever going to be a time and a situation for them to put this game to bed, it was always going to be through a corner. Here is Greenwood looking to get her third goal contribution of the game. Alex Greenwood delivers it into the right area, and Rebecca Kanak missing the target. That should have wrapped the game up for Man City.
Oh, you don't see that often. Rebecca Kanak with a free header in the 6-yard box, and she puts it wide. Brighton, that's a massive let-off, because we've seen that story end in a goal time and time again this season. Just looks tries too hard to place it. Should have just blasted it at the near post. Just tries to place it in the far corner and skews it and gets it wrong.
Yeah. Brighton building out from the back again then. Simmons into Haley. Great hold up from Madison Haley. He'll carry this ball forwards now. Tries to poke it into Roll, but a bit of a miscommunication between the pair.
Yeah, and the combinations are just starting to break down with tired legs and miscommunications, overhit passes.
Here is Kanak. Now Yamashita. Lifting out to the left-hand side. Greenwood touching into Shaw. Great hold up from Shaw. He just gets away from Hayes. And there's space here for Khadija Shaw down the left-hand side. Hayes trying to get back in. Can't muscle off Shaw. Shaw cuts it to Miedemar for Gino. Can she squeeze the shot away? Cuts onto her left foot and fires home. And Man City may well have wrapped it up with that one. A lovely move down the left-hand side. Miedemar leaving this brilliantly. And Gino firing home. Brighton 0, Man City 3.
Yeah, a lovely move to cap off what is going to be a brilliant day for Manchester City. Breaking away superbly. And there was just no stopping Shaw once she got in behind. Miedemar, again, we spoke about her reading of the game earlier, does so well to leave it for Firmino, who, after overplaying it a little bit, did well to rework it. But Brighton, we disappointed that they've allowed City just to play through them this easily. And I'm speaking about the tired legs kicking in, and it's exactly what we see here again. Just get played round, and it's the first time today that Hayes hasn't been able to stick with Khadija Shaw. And Firmino in the end, finishing it off nicely. But someone should really get in the way of that, and I think there's a little deflection that just took it past Adobe.
Yeah, potentially. Firmino's actually taking it quite wide there. And it does just take a deflection off of Maisie Simmons, who's trying to get across and block it. And I think just clipping it there away from Chiamaka and Adobe. Not much you can do about that one. Brighton 0, Manchester City 3.
Yeah. Dreamland, 23 minutes away from the double. And I have to say, for Brighton, I don't think 3-0 really gives them the credit they deserve for the performance here. But City really showing their quality in front of goal.
Ola Slagers, now Venegas. Yeah, it's a game where individual quality has made the difference. 3 goals, really well taken. The second half, I think, has definitely been a lot more Man City's. Yeah. Even then, Brighton have come forward, so they just look a lot more tired, haven't been turning it over, haven't been pressing as aggressively as they were to start. Seke trying to come forwards, Kanak clearing it away.
Yeah, positive from Seke again. And it's just, for Brighton, it's a bit of what could have been. You think back to when Greenwood clearing Olaslaga's first effort off the line, Kiko Seke, the ball falling to her with Yamashita on the floor, and she blasts it over. And both those moments coming at 0-0, it would have put Brighton ahead in this final. And so again, from there, it would be a completely different match.
Yeah, football's a game of moments. That's what it's come down to once again in this final. You can have the perfect tactical setup, and I think there's not much more Brighton could have done in this game.
Yeah.
But simply put, City's players are in incredible form and are some of the best players in the world.
Yeah.
I think that's what's made the difference in this game. Here is Minami. Ola Slagers carrying the ball forwards. And now wide to Venegas. Kirby. Finds Minami again, and now Simmons. Seke wants to take on Greenwood. Now Simmons, ball into a good area, and Venegas just can't quite adjust her body there to put the header on target.
Yeah, it's a brilliant ball in. And again, it's just speaking about quality deliveries, swinging away from the goalkeeper. Yamashita doesn't come for it anyway. And Venegas almost gets too far in front of the ball. and ends up having to try and head it behind her. Yeah, just overruns it. Doesn't need to time that better. And that's another chance that comes and goes for Brighton. And I think that they'll be very disappointed that they haven't been able to at least get on the score sheet today.
Yeah, double change then coming for Brighton. Kiko Seke making way. I don't think they've really been able to use her directness and her pace in behind today, Brighton, in the way they would have wanted to. Rosa Kafaji on to replace her. And Charlie's Raw, I think, has struggled today, making way for Melis Umpome.
Yeah, definitely. Struggled throughout, I think, Rule, and especially in the last kind of 10 minutes, it looked has been flagging.
Yeah. It's a difficult role to play, that fullback, and we see on one side, Manuel Venegas, I think, has had a fantastic game.
Yeah.
I think Rule has struggled today, struggled a bit in the semi-finals, but I mean, against Lauren Hempstead, it was always going to be quite difficult.
Yeah.
And Pomay plays down the line to Kafaji. Back inside to Simmons, I think, has come off there, though, for a City throw. And back now to Kanak. 20 minutes to go then. This looks to be very much done and dusted. But I think as a season, for the season as a whole, Brighton have got to look back at this incredibly positively. Yeah. It's a big step forwards in terms of them now being considered sort of best of the rest. With a bit of serious investment this summer, there's no reason they couldn't be challenging the top four.
Yeah.
They've got to find someone who can put the ball in the back of the net more consistently. Here is Venegas, and they've just got to be more consistent against some of the weaker sides in the league. One high here by Blinkilda Brown. Has Shaw ahead of her, Miedemar alongside her, squares the pass to Viviana Miedemar. And now to Fagino on the right-hand side. Shaw to Blinkilda Brown, trying to poke it through to Fagino, but it's brilliant for Venegas, stepping up. And just jumps onto Blinkilda Brown there. Kankovic, Kirby, Kankovic, wide to Umpome. Kafaji into Kankovic. Haley brought down. And complaints from the Brighton players. They're not given, though. Kafaji trying to compete. Just gets muscled off and then it's cleared away by Kanak.
Yeah, City just sitting in well now and seeing this job through. Haley still down. Clutching her side. I think it was firm from the City defender, but I don't necessarily think it was a foul. Looked to be, didn't they? I mean, maybe it was a bit through the back, definitely a nudge, but I think it would have been a soft one. Just as you see the ball. Yeah, I don't think Cash White was much wrong there. I think that's fine. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I think got to be strong with that, Madison Haley.
Yeah.
So, free kick now, back with, or a drop ball with Brighton, isn't it? Kevin says, Haley has taken a lot of punishment today. Yeah, I think Rose has just been the most physical of City's defenders. I think that, to be fair, of the City team, I think City have been a little bit lightweight, especially in midfield, or at least first half, especially with how intense and aggressive Brighton were playing. But yeah, it was strong from Rose throughout. Kirby coming forwards. Rose does well just to shuffle her back. Venegas. Lifted into the area. Haley, and that one's a little bit more dubious. From Kanak in the box. And Haley's down again here. Kanak launching it away.
I don't think there's enough in that. I mean, again, I'm sure that VAR will have a quick look, but I don't think Kanak has too much wrong there. Might have been a slight nudge. Haley is holding her head. Might have just clashed heads. Hopefully we'll get a replay. Here we go. Ball comes in. Yeah, there's nothing.
I don't think there's two hands, but I don't think there's enough of a push, is there?
No, the hands on the back, which is risky.
Yeah. I don't think there's enough of a sort of pushing action there.
No. her hands are kind of just there as a bit of a nudge rather than it's not like a proper shove. It's just more of a, yeah.
I think it's almost a little bit fortunate of the proximity because they're so close. The pushing action, there's kind of nowhere else her hands could be without being on her back.
Yeah.
If there was a bit more distance between them and it's the same action, I think that's given as a penalty.
Yeah. Again, another knock.
Yeah, discomfort for Madison Haley. She's been fouled 4 times in this game, and that doesn't include the 2 knocks she's taken there and the multitude of very fair challenges she's taken. So, long afternoon for Madison Haley.
Yeah, but Brighton, I mean, they'll get, again, both sides would use this drinks break just to recharge and go again for the 15 minutes. As I say, I think they'd like to get on the score sheet. I mean, I'd like them to get on the score sheet, so my prediction was correct. But yeah, they want to come away with something.
Indeed. Looks like City making changes then. Blinker-Brown making way. In all this, City using this as a chance to make subs. Both sets of players using this as a chance to take on fluids.
Mm.
And yeah, Blinker-Brown making way. Haven't seen yet who's coming on. Could only assume it will be Sydney Lohman, though. I don't really know who else. I guess Laura Coombs, could also come into midfield. But we'll see. Alex Greenwood there, hugging the set piece coach, I think that is. Who has earned his wages today.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll go home and tell his family that was all him. That was all his idea.
It is Sydney Lohman, I think, who's come into midfield then to replace Blinker-Brown. Kasperai. Well held up there by Viviana Miedemar. Now for Gino. And Fowler also onto the pitch to replace Lauren Hemp.
I mean, again, brilliant depth for City to be able to bring on when you're 3-0 in an FA Cup final.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we pointed out at half time. Look at the players that can come on for City. Brighton subs are just not going to have the same impact.
Yeah.
Here is Manami. Yeah, this really doesn't feel like a 3-0 game. I don't think City's performance has been a 3-0 win, but I think it's more of a... It's a deserved FA Cup final win, of course, but it's deserved because of the season as a whole and the way they've played throughout the season.
Yeah.
They took their chances today. That's all that matters in football. I think Brighton were very unlucky with the way they played. They didn't get a result from this, but still, a performance they can be massively proud of. They certainly didn't leave anything out there on the field.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those finals where you kind of walk away from it going, there was based on the 90 minutes, there was a chance that both sides could have won it on a different day.
Yeah, it feels very similar to the Champions League final, which, 4-0 result in that, 3-0 result in this, doesn't feel it should be that way. But, yeah, the winners have just taken their chances much better than the runners-up.
Yeah, the team who were winning by that margin deserve to win by that margin, but I wouldn't say Brighton here deserve. I don't think 3-0 is a fair reflection of what they've done.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one.
Lohman into Greenwood, back towards Lohman. One back up the pitch here by Kafaji. I think there Simmons just catching Sydney Lohman.
Yeah, I think Simmons will be. I think she's had a decent game, but I think that I think she'll be a bit frustrated. I think she's got drawn into the battle a little bit too much, and decision making has let her down a little bit. Which I think, as the captain in an FA Cup final, she'll be slightly disappointed about.
Yeah, a few times in the first half, she probably should have found passes and went for goal. Double change here for Brighton. Fran Kirby, well, she's been a winner at Wembley many times. Today won't be one of those days, though. Making way for Nadine Nordam. Well, the last time she came onto a pitch in an FA Cup game, she scored a winning goal in the 95th minute.
If that happens now...
I was going to say we're in for a fantastic last 10 minutes plus additional time.
I have to say, very rare to see Fran Kirby walk off Wembley, not only not going to be winning the game, but without not getting a contribution on the board.
McLaughlin also on then for Ola Slags. I think finally gone to the left-hand side. Shaw breaking through here. Brilliant sweeper keeper action there from Chiamaka Enadozi. Now, Sharon Hill says, COVID had a lot of interest from Juventus in January. Do you think she'll move on this summer? I don't see her moving on. No. I think she's quite settled, and I think the Brighton project is a very promising one.
I think there's a slight argument that she might have a better shot at Champions League football, or at least doing well in some capacity, or and having a chance at silverware.
Yeah,
I think that especially I think she's also a core player in the project. And Brighton will make her aware of that.
I think one of the highest earners of the club. So, free kick now for Brighton. Haley's not happy at all there. The referee, I don't know, didn't book her potentially. Is that what she's complaining about there?
Cash Boy knocked the ball out 3 yards. I mean,
technically a yellow card, but a bit of a ridiculous one.
It's one of those. It didn't really delay the restart, did it? 2 seconds for Simmons to run back and get the ball.
Free kick now for Brighton. That is a delay, though. By the letter of the law, that is a delay.
Yeah, that is.
Simmons, ball into the area. Greenwood heads it away. Now McLaughlin lifts into the box. Hayes nodding down to Haley. Shot charged down by Fowler. McLaughlin heading it the other way, but it's one back by Miedemar, who'll carry the ball forwards, tries to shift it across to Fagino. One back, though, by McLaughlin. And now Brighton back in possession. Here's Kankovic.
The other problem Brighton face today is that set pieces, as the underdog in the FA Cup final, can be absolutely crucial. The problem is they're playing Manchester City.
Yeah,
you're not going to get much joy from set pieces. I think it's been a couple of deliveries at corners and free kicks that have just been cleared easily by Manchester City.
Indeed. Shaw coming forwards now. Casper overlapping. This would really kill the game off. Shaw takes aim. Big stop from Chiamaka Enadozie. And that's the Enadozie we're more accustomed to watching this season. Brilliant save tonight. Khadija Shaw. Shaw did nothing wrong with the finish.
Yeah. Smart from Shaw to smash it home at the near post. Bit of a trademark after pickpocketing Manami, catching her on the ball. But Enadozie, I mean, that's the one she saves. I mean, that is a brilliant stop. To palm it over the bar, but compared to the goals that have gone in, I think she'll be quite disappointed that that's the one she gets a hand to.
Corner now for Manchester City, and this really would round off a victory that has displayed all of their most common goals this season.
Yeah,
set pieces, fast breaks, and crosses. Greenwood in there looking for Khadija Shaw. Still alive here as it goes back to Alex Greenwood. Now Fagino takes aim at the front post. Brilliant save from Enadozie. Messy defending from Brighton. And is that another corner?
Yeah. I think I have to say, it's another one where Brighton just completely switched off. Nobody gets out to Greenwood here and allows her to cut it to Fagino. It's a brilliant save from Enadozie at the front post. Gets down low with her leg and makes a good stop. And then Haley clearing it into the face of McLaughlin. All a bit messy from Brighton. And I think that there's been a couple of moments defensively where they could have made a better decision or just needed a little bit more clearer.
Ball floated in towards the back post, headed away, going to fall now to Shaw, who clips it back into the box and a shot towards goal. And Jade Rose, unable there to hit the target.
Again, they've cleared it into each other. It's another delivery they don't really deal with Brighton. Venegas heading it into I'm trying to remember who that is there. Venegas heading into Mpome.
Kankovic also got barreled over in there as a separate situation.
I'm really surprised City haven't scored from a corner because the corners that have happened, Brighton have really failed to deal with.
Here's McLaughlin. Ball towards the back post, and Kafaji couldn't quite get there. Put off by Kasperite. Don't think it's anywhere near enough for a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest.
And the offside flag up as well.
I mean, that's poor. Kafaji really should be offside. I think she had to make more of that, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
I think you've just got to put the referee in a bit of a difficult position there. I don't think VAR.
You're not going to really get to the ball anyway, but you've got to make it look like you are.
Yeah.
And that you're going to get fouled. Change here for City, and Khadija Shaw departing to be replaced by Laura Coombs. Her last appearance then for Manchester City. We thought this might be Khadija Shaw's last appearance for Man City. She signed a new contract, but Laura Coombs retiring. Certainly won't be signing a new contract. Coming on, though, to cap off her career at Wembley Stadium. Not a bad place to say goodbye, is it?
Yeah, lovely touch. Give her 5 minutes at the home of football to see out what has been an outstanding career, and capping it off with a domestic double is brilliant. But as you say, Shaw, phenomenal season, and here to stay at Manchester City.
Yeah, and she'll be back for more.
Yeah,
in the 26-27 season.
Torment everyone again, like she has done for the last 3 years.
Greenwood now with Kanak. Ball clipped up the line. Greenwood nodding on. One back in there by Simmons. Here's McLaughlin. And Fowler looks to carry forwards. Great tackle from Mpome. McLaughlin into Nordam, trying to pass around the corner. One back, though, by Greenwood. And Jennifer says City squad depth. They've now got momentum, identity, chemistry, direction, age diversity, structure. Everything a club wants. Lots of big words in there. I think there's still a lot to do this summer. I think with Champions League football, City coming forwards now. Here's Kasperite. Can she find a ball into the box? Great delivery, and Viviana Miedemar's header. Too powerful for Chiamaka Enadoji to keep out. And that caps off a brilliant day at Wembley for Man City and a bit of a disaster for Enadoji. Kasperite's ball floated in. Viviana Miedemar getting in on the act off the bench and nodding it home. Just way too much power behind that for Enadoji to stop her.
Yeah, another cross for Man City turns into another goal, and Miedemar has to stand there and head it home. Really nice, but great ball in from Kasperite, and Brighton's legs are just faded. And again, I mean, 4-0 looks like a hammering. It really hasn't been that kind of game. But City, clinical in front of goal. 4 goals from 13 shots. I mean, just ridiculously strong. Kasperite with another brilliant delivery, another assist for her this season. Miedemar, I mean, the header's pretty central, but yeah, Enadoji, there's just too much power on it for her to claw it off the line.
Yeah, she's trying to shuffle across and get there, but can't keep it out the back of the net. She'll be really disappointed with her performance today. Just too many mistakes, and that's cost Brighton.
Yeah, and well, similar. Not it's same scoreline as United beating Tottenham 2 years ago, but a completely different game. And for Brighton, I think that they'll be wondering after that first half an hour. I think that they will be wondering how on earth they are 4-0 down.
Yeah, absolutely. And well, that will be a double then for City. 3 minutes to go. Hopefully not long of added time, because this game at 4-0 is very much over now. It's not a scoreline that reflects how this game has been played, but it does reflect how City have been able to dominate domestically this campaign. So ruthless in front of goal. And well, like any good side, at times they've had to ride their luck. But ultimately, they've taken their chances when their opposition couldn't. Here is Yui Hasegawa. Lovely movement to get away from Kafaji. Miedemar back to Kanak. Greenwood into Yamashita. But yeah, I think City need need a decent window to really kick on. I still think defensively they could do with a lot of depth there in midfield, but yeah. The attacking depth now is just so strong. They've changed their front line. They still look just as frightening. If not more, with Viviana Miedemar, to be fair.
Yeah.
James says, you guys mentioned there could be a similarity between this game and Barcelona. Yeah. I think it's a very similar situation. The side that won the match obviously deserves to win it, but I think tactically, Lyon were better than Barcelona. I think Brighton were better than Man City, but ultimately, sometimes it just comes down to player quality and players on the day showing up and doing their job.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that if Brighton had, a couple more elite world-class players amongst their 11, the way Vidicic is set up today, this would have been a very different game. But yeah, as we see it so often in football, quality prevails. And that's exactly what has happened here. And I think that Brighton and Vidicic can be very happy with the run they've made. And the fact they're here was an achievement. It's the first Brighton squad to ever do it is an achievement in its own right. But of course they'll be disappointed that they've turned up and not been able to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Lohman carrying forwards here, up to the right-hand side. Here is Fagino. And we will have 4 additional minutes at the end of this final. Not really sure there's much need for 4 additional minutes, but it might give City the chance to make this look absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's this, this Brighton, we're very disappointed. This does get a little bit outrageous.
Miedemar cuts inside, and the shot charged down by McLaughlin, and out for a City throw.
But again, it's quite similar to the first half. They competed for the first portion of the second. They competed for the first half of the second 45, and then the third and fourth goal. But City get a bit of a quick fire breaks and make the game look so comfortable.
Greenwood back to Kanak, and now Rose. Greenwood goes back to Yamashita. Greenwood. Lohman. Hasegawa. Great pressure from Nordam, winning the ball back, but it rebounds to Greenwood. Yamashita lifting it forwards. And great pressure, anticipation there from Venegas. Pouncing on the ball. Haley into Kankovic. Can they get a goal at Wembley here, Brighton? In towards Haley, who takes save. And a big save from Yamashita, keeping the clean sheet intact. And that misjudged there by Minami. Well, I'd love to see if City are through on goal there. They're not, though. Brighton back in possession. Kankovic, Haley. Now across to Hayes. Knocks it wide to Mpome. Pass down the line to McLaughlin. Give and go with Nordam. And it's out for a corner. I love that Brighton have stayed true to themselves.
Yeah.
They haven't come here. They haven't put 11 players behind the ball, drawn 1-1, taken it to penalties, and then skied one over the bar. They've come out and played the way they've played all season and hasn't got the result. It very much could have, especially the first half. I think they played excellently, but they've played the way they have all season. And I think that brazenness and that confidence will take them far. They didn't look like a side who were intimidated by the occasion today.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, exactly that. City didn't have a sniff for the first 15 minutes. Brighton settled down really quickly. And as you say, that they've got the confidence and the belief of an elite side to play their way and win football games. And I think that is a very, very encouraging characteristic to have as a team. And even now they're coming forwards and having chances, even though they're 4-0 down and there's only a minute to go.
Yeah, City took one shot in the first half an hour.
Wow.
But they've won 4-0.
It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
And that's just how football goes sometimes. This says Jack, that comment was outrageous as an Arsenal fan, rubbing salt in the wounds. Well, you can cry. You've always got the results. You won the Premier League this season, but it was a still amusing final yesterday.
That's a nice touch.
Lovely between Vidicic and Andre Jeglerts, appreciating each other there. I think 2 of the best managers in the WSL this season.
Yeah. And I like that from Jeglerts because he's done it now so that he can enjoy his celebrations, but while not seeing impolite.
Yeah. I mean, it's been such a difficult season for Dario Vidicic on a personal level. We saw a brilliant tifo from the Brighton fans, featuring Vidicic and his dad, who he sadly lost in January this year. He's come back from that, and he said ahead of this final that loss, it's been fueling him for the second half of the season. I think we've seen that in the way that Brighton have played. They've been playing for Vidicic and of course, the memory of his father. So, incredible mental strength to come back and compete as a manager. And huge congratulations for Brighton even getting to this stage. But that is the final whistle. Manchester City complete the double. They are Women's FA Cup champions to go alongside their WSL title. Khadija Shaw out on the pitch, swinging her arms around and jumping about because Man City they've completed the double for the first time in their history.
Yeah, historic season for City and for Jeglerts. What a first season in England for Andre Jeglerts. Another brilliant performance here. Deadly in front of goal and the elite players making the difference. Khadija Shaw stepping up again. Alex Greenwood with a proper captain's performance in the FA Cup final and deserved winners. A brilliant double. And what a squad and what a team they are starting to build and they are becoming a real force in England, and they'll be hoping to take that onto the European stage next year. But what a game. What a game for City. Commiserations to Brighton, who gave it absolutely everything, and 4-0 does not do them a fair reflection, because they gave City a really good game for large parts of this final. But quality and elite players made the difference, and what a moment and what a season for Manchester City.
Yeah, absolutely. They've maximised what they could have done this season. They almost were almost in with a shot of a treble, and lost in the same finals of the Subway Women's League Cup. Outside of that, they couldn't have done any more this season. Manchester City maximised what they had. Next season is going to be a completely different ball game, juggling three competitions, obviously without the League Cup now for Champions League sides. But it's going to be a different kettle of fish. Can they compete with Europe's elite? Can they compete while playing multiple times a week? That's what they've got to try and stretch themselves. But for now, they'll enjoy what's been a historic season, and in a few weeks' time, or maybe even tomorrow, they start planning for next season. But for the players, they've done their job. They deserve a summer of rest before coming back for another campaign where they'll look to kick on and try and establish a bit of dominance in the WSL. They broke Chelsea's run as WSL champions. They dethroned them in the FA Cup as well. And they'll be hoping that they can maintain that success going into next season and start to build something of a dynasty. But for now, they're just going to celebrate winning at Wembley, and an incredible win at that.
Yeah, exactly that. They've set the bar now this season. An incredible, incredible campaign. And for Jeglerts to come in to a side that had a lot of flaws last season, to come in and to turn it around in the way he has, to go and take the two biggest prizes in the country, is a very encouraging start. But yeah, I'm sure that they will have a very good night. Those Man City players have already been hitting the celebrations with the title, but they've done well to come back today, get back to top form, and find a way past Brighton.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be sticking around to watch the trophy lift, but you are now leaving us upon the end of the game. And thank you very much for joining us throughout the season and for this game. And we're going to be live next week with the Women's International Games, the qualifiers for the Women's World Cup. So make sure to join us for that this week. But for anyone that wants to stick around and watch celebrations with us, we aren't going anywhere. We're going to watch Man City claim that Women's FA Cup trophy. Always the best celebration at Wembley Stadium, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a brilliant moment as a player. I think it's one of the best. I mean, A, because you get two celebrations, but B, that walk up the stairs to receive the medals, to receive the trophies, is one that you never forget. It's a brilliant moment, and I think that it's a brilliant moment for both the winners and the losers. I think that, even Brighton, it's something that they will remember, and they will fuel it as they walk up those stairs. It will feel very disappointing to turn up today and to be beaten in the fashion that they were, but I think that on reflection, they'll look at the performance and see how strong they played, and they'll look to come back next season, and I think they'll fancy themselves to do something special. No Champions League sides in the Women's League Cup, I think, opens the door for a side like Brighton. They've already shown that they can get to these FA Cup finals, and although the squad doesn't show it, put on a really strong performance. And I think that especially with the season they've had, I think that they can be very proud that they got to this stage. But yeah, for City, it's a brilliant moment to celebrate at Wembley. Something the fans should also soak up and enjoy. I mean, it's been half a decade since they did it, so a massive moment for City, and something to definitely remember, because as we have seen across this season, that you have to enjoy the good moments in football, because some you can be shot right back down to reality very quickly.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think it's going to be interesting to see where they go from here, Man City. But a fantastic season, undoubtedly. Brilliant campaign. They've been the best in England. And that's cemented with a domestic double, the first domestic double in their history. They won the title for the first time in a decade. I think that's their first Women's FA Cup for 5 years as well. So they've broken a bit of a trophy drought there of Manchester City. And, what a fantastic squad and group of players this has been.
Yeah, and they are, and it's something that definitely should scare a lot of teams going into next season. And it could be, I think it's going to be another phenomenal campaign. But I think that they will of course, they'll enjoy the moment, and they deserve to win this game. But I think that there'll be a lot of questions. I mean, most people will be asking what could have been. I mean, people coming into the chat at half time and wondering how on earth City were 2-0 up. And I think that is a very valid point. This could have been a very, very different day and a very, very different game. For half an hour, Brighton were the better team. That first half an hour was all Brighton. So for City to come back and win it, by 4 goals in the end is pretty impressive. But I think that on another day, this could have been a very historic day for Brighton.
Yeah, absolutely. And Man City just preparing here. Oh, the FA, of course, preparing the celebrations. Khadija Shaw, the player being interviewed. Of course, a lot of speculation around her future in the last few weeks. But very much appears happy to stay and continue building what they've started here this season, Man City.
Yeah, exactly that. I think that, she's been a massive part of it. And why would you leave a double winning team? And for City, Shaw was the main part of that. Another ridiculous set of numbers for Khadija Shaw this season. Her consistency is unparalleled. And City, understandably, just giving her whatever she wants because she's that kind of player. A top forward. Probably the best, if not, definitely one of the best in the world. And again, pots up with 2 contributions today. Put up another ridiculous... Does her golden boot again. And understandably, she's enjoying her time at City. And Man City, very happy just to throw everything at her.
Yeah, as they should. She'll be the highest paid player in the WSL, at least for now. There may well be more blockbuster signings to come this summer, but absolutely deserved, proving her worth once again in this game. The goal in the first half. And I think she's given the assist as well for Gino's goal as well, to be fair. Because Miedemar leaving it, though I think Miedemar leaving it is an assist all in itself. Brilliant creativity. But got the goal that broke the deadlock when City was struggling. And that ultimately inspiring City on to the FA Cup win.
Yeah, that was a big goal because before that, Brighton were the better side, and that completely changed the momentum of the match. Shaw out jumping Enadozie and then heading home. And well, if that doesn't go in, then who knows what could happen. But yeah, that completely changed the course of the match. And then from there, it was those 2 big moments. Shaw getting the opening goal against the run of play, and a Greenwood, in the 6th minute of additional time in the first half, landing for me what was probably the killer blow for Brighton. I think at 1-0 at half time is still all to play for. 2-0 against this Man City side, and it was pretty much game over. And again, we said it throughout the game. Football is about moments, and I think that City's FA Cup run has absolutely shown that. You look at a couple of, the WSL 2 sides, and lower than that, they had a lot of joy against. But I think they were 3 minutes away from being out in the semi-final, and that's it's just about those moments. They found a goal, and lo and behold, a few weeks later, they're FA Cup champions. But they were 3 minutes away from being knocked out of the semi-finals and not even being at Wembley today. And then again today, they turn up. And they took their moments. Brighton didn't take theirs. City took their own. And that made the difference. And football is a cruel sport for some, but it also creates some incredible moments for others. And City, at the end of the day, quality players. And the reason why they are champions is because they do in those moments, they do take their opportunities. And that really makes a difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. Hopefully they're going to get on with the celebrations now. The things to say about Man City. Have done more than enough videos talking about how well Man City have done this season. And they'll bask in the glory of a double win now. The WSL and Women's FA Cup titles in 2026, both going to Manchester City. And they'll be hoping, as we've said, to build on that next season. Can they go back-to-back in the WSL? Can they kick on and challenge in the Champions League, become the first English club, except Arsenal, to win the Women's Champions League? Or at least have a really serious one. We haven't seen City go incredibly deep in the competition yet, have we?
No, and I think that is a challenge that Jägerlöts will be looking forward to taking on. And I'm sure that they'll be there or thereabouts, absolutely. I'd expect them to
be on the conversation. I think there or thereabouts a bit premature.
Well, no, I think they will be. I think they will. They'll go deep in the knockouts. I see them. I mean, I know there is no stage before the last 8, but I see them in the last 8. I really do. I think that
I agree. I think they'll be quarter-finalists. You would expect. I don't think there or thereabouts means they're going to win it or be.
Oh no, I don't think they got signed. Sorry, yeah,
or it's like runners up.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think they're in the conversation though. Depending on what happens, who they go and sign this summer, depending on what other clubs do in the market. And it says, bye from Sweden. Thank you for tuning in. Michelle saying take care both a few minutes ago as well. Thank you all for tuning into the FA Cup final with us, and Brighton heading up now up the long steps at Wembley to go and collect the runners-up medals. It's not what they would have wanted to come away with today, but after this season for Brighton, another building season really, they've definitely taken a step forwards, and reaching this stage of the competition in itself is an incredible achievement.
Yeah, it's a moment that I think that right now will hurt, but on reflection, they'll realise that reaching an FA Cup final, to be to do it for the first time in Brighton's history is an incredible moment for them. And as I said, this walk will hurt and it'll be painful right now, but as a player, it's the kind of thing that you use to fuel yourself and go again next season, because they'll be determined to make sure that next season they're not doing this walk and instead they're bouncing up those steps to go and claim a trophy. And even whether it's the FA Cup or not, you use that to fuel yourself on to go and be successful. And I think that it's a day they've got to enjoy. I think that it's one of those, especially for the fans. It's the first time they've had their chance to watch their side at Wembley, and that's a day that they've got to enjoy, even though the result hasn't gone their way. And the players, I think that for the experienced players, it will be disappointing. But I think Frank Kirby can go home and cry into five other FA Cup medals. And for the younger players, opportunities are going to come around. We've said it before. We've said it quite a few times across this season with Brighton and Dario Vidicic. This is a squad that have the potential to be very, very exciting. And for those younger players, I think that they will be disappointed, of course, but I think they should expect to get more opportunities to claim trophies, because they've got a long way to go, Brighton. You feel like they're only just getting started. So the fact they've already reached an FA Cup final is a very promising step.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're probably an elite attacker and a bit of squad depth as well, away from being a side who can seriously challenge for top four. I think that they've got one of the strongest sides in the division, or outside of the top four, outside the big four clubs. So absolutely in a position next season where we know how close that mid-table fight is, but they've got a squad good enough, and they've got a manager certainly good enough in Dario Vidicic to steer them into fifth without too much issue again next season. And yeah, the new stadium is a sign of the ambition and what Brighton really want to achieve in the women's game. And it's great to see that they're really kicking on now. Getting into the FA Cup final is a great achievement. You can easily look at the fact they played Liverpool in the same finals and say, well, that run was ideal. But equally, they played Arsenal in the quarters and they knocked them out. So you turn those around, it looks like a pretty bog standard FA Cup run. They took out some big sides on their way in the form of Arsenal, of course. Very much a deserved finalist appearance.
Yeah, I mean, I think out of all I know they've reached the final, so of course it's going to be, but it's going to be higher. But I mean, they faced the most OSL sides out of any club in the competition, which even West Ham, for a fourth round tie, West Ham isn't a particularly nice draw when you consider that the majority of other teams got a WSL2 or played a weaker opposition. It's not necessarily easy game, so they did well to navigate some tricky ties. And they'll look back like that Arsenal win. What a moment, turning it around in the 95th minute against Liverpool, just incredible. And I think that it's one of them. I mean, I don't think Liverpool, just because they were so good, I don't think Liverpool would have given City as good of a game.
I don't know. I think Gareth Taylor would have been motivated.
He'd have found a way to win it for nothing. They've probably gone more defensive, which probably would have meant they'd have conceded less. But I don't think they had half the chances. Or I mean, they might have had a bit more of the ball. To be fair,
it's difficult to say. If they played that style, would they have found the counter-attacking opportunities? Possibly. Both Liverpool and Brighton gave City great games in the run-in. Brighton beat Man City in the run-in. So anything can happen over 90 minutes. Great news for Man City as well, as they won't be signing Katie McCabe. So they will be able to kick on next season.
Double victory today then, which is good for them. But yeah, they can now go up and claim their medals. And for some players, this has been a long time coming. I think that, again, a nice moment as well, I think, for Alex Greenwood, who has obviously won it before, but gets her opportunity to lift the FA Cup as captain. You know, has been on the right and wrong side of Wembley. Has had the heartbreak of losing a final. Has had, you know, the joy of winning it a few years back. But winning it as a captain is very different. Leading your side to the title, but also in the FA Cup is a brilliant achievement. And with the performance that she put in today, that was a proper captain's performance. Coming up with 2 assists in an FA Cup final is top draw from Greenwood, and she was a big part as to why City was so brilliant in front of goal, because when you put a ball on a plate for your forwards, it's a massive help. So a brilliant moment for her. But yeah, for City, they will enjoy this, and a lot of them, they will look forward to going home and be able to celebrate with their WSL winners medal in one hand and the FA Cup winners medal in the other.
It's not a bad way to go to sleep, is
No.
it? Kirsten Kasparov and Ayaki Yamashita look knackered, making their way up the stairs, leading Man City up there. They've now also got to wait for Alex Greenwood. Oh no, Greenwood won't go first, or she'll go last.
I think they are genuinely just taking a break.
Yeah. It's a hell of a lot of steps at Wembley to get up.
But I think, though,
Trophy.
to be honest, though, if you've won the FA Cup, that feels like the shortest walk of your life.
Yeah.
If you've lost the FA Cup, it feels like the longest walk of your life. No matter how we've seen teams win games on penalties, have played 120 minutes plus of football, and have been bounding up those steps on pure adrenaline. And yeah, City will to be fair, look more tired than usual, but a brilliant moment for them.
Andre Eglert's up first to go and collect his medal, and the squad following in his footsteps.
What a manager! What a job he's done in one season.
Indeed.
And they are very big medals.
The squad was there for a manager to come in and succeed. But for Andre Eglerts to take a side who finished 4th in the WSL last season to a domestic double.
Wow.
In less than about 10 months, isn't it? It's an incredible achievement.
Yeah, it's I think that... Of course, we expect him to come in and do well, but I don't think the expectation was to come in and take 2 trophies, especially not the league. I think that we all viewed it. We looked at our predictions, and I think the point I made and what I expected to happen was that they'd probably start pretty slowly while they got to grips with things, but they could take one of the cups, because by the end of the season I could see them coming strong. But for a minute, after game week 1, they never really looked back, to be completely honest. And I know there was a minute chance that Arsenal could have somehow pulled back the title race, but I don't think that was ever a possibility. City, after losing to Chelsea, never really looked back, and they've just gone on and absolutely smashed their way to a very successful season.
Absolutely. And the City faithful watching on as their stars collect their medals.
There's a lot of players to get through.
Yeah. Of course. He just sure up to collect hers.
Alex Greenwood then has found her way to the middle, and this as a captain, it's an incredible moment. It's a moments that don't come around too often.
So Greenwood will grab the Women's FA Cup, the second FA Cup win of her career, the first as a captain. Beckoning over some of the City higher-ups to be involved.
I think all her teammates have ran away from her.
And the City players to get around her.
Where are they all? I think they'd walked on too far.
Yeah. They're celebrating too early. Alex Greenwood hoists the trophy aloft. Manchester City are Women's FA Cup champions in 2026, completing the double. Alex Greenwood, the captain, leading them in this game, leading them in the trophy lift, leading them in the celebrations now after a fantastic campaign. Man City back where they want to be, at the top of women's football in England. Laura Coombs and Leila Harvey lifting the trophy together. 2 players who will depart this summer. One for pastures new, the other to retire. And have lost the top of the FA Cup trophy and put it on the head of Lauren Hemp.
I'm not really sure why it got taken off in the first place. I assume it could have gone flying as Greenwood lifted it up.
Yeah, not ideal. Lob and half feet women's FA Cup trophy.
I couldn't do that. I'd be so worried about dropping it.
You just drop it.
Just drop it
crowd.
onto the pit below. Someone's going to be a very rich person. So if they can smuggle that, they can pick out and run off.
Can't even get a football out of security in most
true.
football grounds. You're going to struggle to get the FA Cup trophy.
But yeah, none of the Royals there, which is quite disappointing. Usually that is an expectation around the FA Cup, but clearly got better things to do.
Big news, by the way, related to Manchester City. They're set to sign Niamh Charles from Chelsea.
That's an interesting one. That's a very interesting.
And as H says, the worst news ever is Katie McCabe is set to join Chelsea. So I was happy after watching a brilliant FA Cup final, but that is sickening to hear.
No.
I know. I'm just leaving it so we can say goodbye to the stream without fuming. But there we go. Manchester City, Women's FA Cup champions. Looks to have completed their first deal of the summer. Much else to add before we sign off there?
Well done, Man City.
As Alyssa says, Soccer Donna just reported Katie McCabe to Chelsea. Yeah, came about 20 minutes ago. I've been trying not to let my reaction.
Is that April 1st?
Out. Unfortunately not, no. It's horrific. Absolutely horrific. But there we go. Manchester City, let's not distract from what they've achieved.
Well done, City. They're going to win the league next year.
Chelsea are playing without a left back next season, which is an interesting strategy. Personally, I think 11 players is really important to winning games. Chelsea will be playing with 10 next season. So it will be very difficult for them to go back to winning the WSL. Now, Man City, look, the strongest ticket in the women's game right now.
Yeah, I think that's the news that Jäger's is now laughing about.
Yeah,
he's in a happy day.
You just heard, yeah. Chelsea aren't playing with a left back next season. We'll be able to beat them.
Yeah, they will fancy themselves with the squad they've got to continue what has been a special run this season.
There we go. And back out onto the pitch then with the Women's FA Cup trophy. Andre Jäger's Kasparai is in someone's arms. And, Jäger's isn't going to give her the trophy. Trophy handed to a couple of the squad players there who didn't get on the pitch today.
Yeah, they'll get their moment in front of the... they'll get their pictures in front of the confetti and the Adobe boards.
But I think we will call that there. We'll be back in the week with a few different videos, all rounding up the WSL season, and probably one talking about why Chelsea are about to make the biggest mistake possible in the transfer market. Didn't have that one on the plan for this week, so slight adjustments needed there. Might mean you guys getting an extra video this week. That, though, is everything. Thanks. By the way, it's the last domestic stream of the season. We said we'll try and hit 10k subscribers by the stream. Didn't quite happen, but the growth on the channel this season has been incredible. Your support has been incredible. We'll be back next week with the last games of the season, really. The season is over, but we've got the International World Cup qualifiers coming up next week. And then we're done for the summer. We'll have transfer content out across the summer, though, so don't go anywhere. And, of course, we'll be back for the 26-27 season. That, though, is everything. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.